very good afternoon to you, and you are right on time for the Senate plenary sitting on this 28th day, the month of October, the year 2025. This is the live broadcast of the Senate proceedings, streaming from the Senate chambers, Parliament buildings in Nairobi. And the live broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. We are glad that you're joining us for these proceedings, this being the day that these senators are resuming from a short recess. And this afternoon, they will be resuming on some of the pending businesses that had been there before that particular short recess. This afternoon, there are 3 bills that are coming up for first reading. The members of the Senate will also be considering a number of bills at the division stage. That means that these bills were already debated at the second reading stage, and this stage for them to be read the second time and also proceed into the next stage. However, this also is subject to the quorum of the House that would enable the House to proceed to division on these bills. Also, priority business this afternoon include motions that we shall take a look at them a bit later. And also pursuant to provisions of Standing Order number 53, paragraph 1. Also this afternoon, the senators will be able or will have an opportunity to seek for statements from various standing committees on matters relating to either county, inter-county, national, regional, or even international concerns. So the House is about to commence its business right on your screens, that is inside the Senate chambers. Senators are getting ready to be able to conduct the business that is lined up for consideration this afternoon. Remember, the House is resuming from a short recess, and there is a full in-tray of the business that is to be considered. So once the Speaker's procession makes its way into the chambers, that is around 2:30, being the time allocated for the sitting, then the House will be called to order, and the business of this afternoon will commence. That is, if the House will have corrected at the time the prayer is said and the chair taken. So a warm welcome to you, and let's take a look at the business that they will be transacting. Regarding the statements that the members will be seeking from various standing committees this afternoon include a statement that will be sought by the Senator for Embu County, Honorable Alexander Mundigi, to the Standing Committee on Roads, Housing and Transportation. And this one is with regards to the prolonged delay in the construction of Mukongoro and Muiria bridges and provision of road furniture in Embu County. Also, the Senator for Marsabit County, Honorable Mohammed Chuta, will also seek a statement this afternoon from the Standing Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industrialization. This allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast that is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Kamche Menza. Good afternoon.
Na tuombe. Mwenyezi Mungu, twakusihi tutazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Twakuomba utuwajalie tuyatende na kufikia mambo yote atakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Clerk, do you have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
The prayer has been said and the chair taken. However, there is a quorum hitch at the commencement of the sitting of the Senate. The Speaker has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. Of course, this is just sort of like an allowance to the members who may be running late or yet to make their way into the chambers to hasten their steps and be able to join their colleagues inside the chambers. At least 15 senators are needed to be inside the chamber at the commencement of a sitting of the Senate for the House to be deemed to have quorated and for it to be able to commence its business. If that number is not present, then that would mean that the quorum has not been attained. And as a House that abides by the rules and its laws, then that means it will have to adhere to those regulations or the rules that guide the House. And that is why we have that particular quorum bell on, of course, for the members to make their way into the chamber. Honorable nominated Senator Esther Kenyuri has just walked in. Once that quorum is achieved, then we shall be able to let you in on the business that the members will be transacting this afternoon. Earlier on, I had indicated that there are statements that members will be seeking from various standing committee. The senator for Marsabit County also has another statement that he will be seeking from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. This concerns the prolonged non-payment of salaries and allowances toward officers who served who served under the county government of Marsabit from 2017 until now. The senator for Siaya County, Honorable Oburu Oginga, also has a statement that he will be seeking from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. This regards the plight of health workers at the Siaya County Referral Hospital, whose employment was revoked by the County Public Service Board, citing irregular hiring. These are just but a few of the statements that the members will be seeking responses to from the standing committees, and they will be responded to at a later date. Remember, this afternoon the Senate has resumed from the short recess, and the business is about to commence. Just a quorum hitch, but once that quorum is raised, then the business will, without any further delay, commence. Other priority business or key business that are lined up for consideration this afternoon is regarding a motion on the welfare of interns. Okay, the quorum has been achieved.
Clerk, you may proceed and call the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Now, honorable senators, I take this opportunity to welcome you back from the 2-week recess. In accordance with the calendar of the Senate for the 4th session, Part 6 begins today, Tuesday, the 28th of October 2025, and will conclude at the rise of the Senate on 5th of December 2025. Now, honorable senators, as you will recall, during Part 5 of the session, the Senate held its sittings in Busia County from 6th to the 10th of October 2025. I wish to express my appreciation to all honorable senators for your active participation and the various activities that had been scheduled in the program of events. I particularly single out the visit to the Busia One-Stop Border Post, an initiative under the auspices of the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism. This visit provided valuable insights on the operations of the border post, and as a result, the Senate considered and passed a motion aimed at addressing the persistent challenges facing both the Busia and Malaba border posts. The necessity for sustained follow-up on the Senate's resolution on this matter cannot be overstated, as lasting and practical solutions to transform the operations at this critical border post will only be achieved through continuous engagement and monitoring by the Senate. Additionally, various committees engaged on diverse subjects, including the status of early childhood development education and county vocational education and training within the county, interrogation of the reports of the Auditor General for the Busia County Executive for the financial years 2023-2024, and public engagement on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 13 of 2025. I urge the committees that undertook activities in Busia County to take necessary measures to follow up and ensure that the resolutions of the meetings are pursued to their logical conclusion for the benefit of the residents of Busia County. Lastly, I take this opportunity to commend the Kenya Women Senators Association, KEWOSA, for its impactful corporate social responsibility initiatives in the county that highlighted the challenges affecting Busia County, such as gender-based violence and childhood pregnancies. Honorable Senators, the Senate Mashinani program serves to demonstrate that every part of our country deserves equal attention and opportunity for development. By engaging directly with the local leadership and communities, the Senate gains invaluable insights into the unique challenges and aspirations of the people. These not only strengthen our connection with the counties, but also enable us to shape practical legislative interventions that further entrench the devolved system of governance. Now, Honorable Senators, as you're aware, during the recess, the nation lost one of its most impactful leaders, the late Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, CJH, former Prime Minister and an illustrious statesman whose vision and remarkable sacrifice has left an indelible mark in the country's history. In solidarity with the ideals that he held, the most befitting way to honor his legacy is by zealously defending the Constitution and deepening the gains of devolution. As we continue to discharge our legislative duties, let us remain inspired by his lifelong pursuit for justice and relentless quest for a more prosperous and inclusive Kenya. Honorable Senators, in conclusion, you will observe that this will be the last segment of the fourth session, 2025. It will be a short one before the December-January recess. The resumption of regular sittings in this last part brings with it a certain degree of urgency to conclude the legislative agenda before the Senate. It is in this context that I urge that we redouble our collective and individual effort in a bid to dispense with the business before the Senate. It goes without saying that the officers of the lead of the Senate and committee chairpersons need to do all that is necessary within their standing orders to ensure that this is achieved. Honorable Senators, I wish you fruitful engagement. I thank you. Next order. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I beg your indulgence. You've just given a very important communication to the House. And there are one or two things that I wanted to request of you. Number one is voting, be on time. If it is statements, Mr. Speaker, we take the least time because basically 3 weeks means 9 sittings, Mr. Speaker. Yet if you look at the last statement of order of business before us, Mr. Speaker, we have more than 50 bills that are in the second reading and another 40 that are at the committee of the whole stage. If we are to conclude those bills, because I want to believe our colleagues have taken time, Mr. Speaker, to process them, then we have to work in no other manner than what I have prescribed, which I know you will uphold, Mr. Speaker. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I'd be remiss if I fail to mention that as a senator, I'm extremely proud to sit in the same house with the new party leader of the ODM party, none other than the youth leader who is with us this afternoon. Senate to the world, we bring you Dr. Oburu Odinga, the best that there is at the moment, and I know, Mr. Speaker, that he will do this house and the country proud. I congratulate my leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Order, honorable senators. Senator Muma, kindly take your seat. Honorable senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3 and 5, I have received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the consideration by the National Assembly of the President's reservations on the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 45 of 2022. The President's reservations dated 26th of June 2025 were conveyed to the National Assembly on 1st of July 2025. The message, which is dated Wednesday 8th of October 2025, was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on Monday 13th of October 2025. Pursuant to Standing Order 46.5, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1, Senator for Kilifi. Proceed to your seat. Order, honorable senators. Now, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 and 154 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 45 of 2022, was passed by the National Assembly on the 15th of April 2024 and by the Senate on the 19th of November 2024 and referred to the President for assent. And whereas in exercise of the powers conferred under Article 115(1)(b) of the Constitution, His Excellency the President, by way of a memorandum, referred the bill back to Parliament for reconsideration and recommended the deletion of clauses 2, 3, and 4, being the substantive provisions of the bill. Further, whereas on Thursday, 25th of September 2025, the National Assembly considered and passed the bill a second time with amendments, fully accommodating the President's reservations. Now, therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 115 of the Constitution and Standing Order 41 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the said decision of the National Assembly to the Senate. Honorable Senators, attached to the message from the National Assembly is the Presidential Memorandum in which His Excellency the President has noted his reservations and set out the proposed parts for reconsideration. In this regard, I refer the said message and memorandum to the Standing Committee on Health for consideration. The committee is required to, within 14 days, lay on the table of the Senate its report on the memorandum. I also direct that the committee tables its report on or before Wednesday, the 12th of November 2025 for consideration by the Senate. I have another message. I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46.3 and 4, I received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the approval by the National Assembly of the Kenya Roads Amendment number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2025. The message, dated Tuesday, 21st of October 2025, was received in the office of the Clerk of the Senate on Wednesday, 22nd October 2025, while the Senate was on recess. Pursuant to Standing Order 46.4, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41.1 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. The Kenya Roads Amendment number 3 Bill, National Assembly Bills number 34 of 2025, was published via Kenya Gazette Supplement number 122 of 9th of July 2025 to provide for classification of public roads into national, trunk roads, and county roads, to vest the management of county roads under the county governments, and to allocate funds from the proceeds of the Kenya Road Maintenance Levy Fund to county governments for the maintenance, rehabilitation, and development of county roads within their respective jurisdiction. Further, whereas the National Assembly considered the bill and passed it with amendments on Tuesday, 7th of October 2025, now therefore, in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(4) of the Constitution and Standing Order 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby refer the bill to the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 163, which requires that a bill which originates in the National Assembly be proceeded with by the Senate in the same manner as a bill introduced in the Senate by way of first reading, in accordance with Standing Order number 144, I direct that the Kenya Roads Amendment number 3, Bill, National Assembly Bill number 34 of 2025, be read a first time at the next sitting. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Tuesday, the 28th of October, 2025. This is a report of the National Treasury, 4th annual report on the state of the public-private partnerships for the financial year 2024-2025. 2, the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Migori County Ward Development Fund for the year ended 30th June 2025. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53-1. Senator for Embu County, the Honorable Alexander Mundigi.
Request for statement on the delay in construction of Mukongoro and Mweria branches and road furniture in Embu County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to check a statement from the Standing Committee on Loans, Housing and Transportation on a matter of county wind concern regarding the prolonged delay in the construction of the Mukongoro and Mweria branches and provision of loans furniture in Embu County. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Mukongoro and Mweria branches form part of the critical infrastructure along the Embu County Ring Road between Bufore and Kalangarire markets. These branches are vital in facilitating connectivity between Kamama Boys Secondary School and Mweria Tea Factory, thereby supporting access to education and enhancing economic activity in the region. Further, there is general lack of loans safety on the Embu County Ring Road due to lack of signage and other road furniture, pursuing danger to the distance of the county. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1. Reason for the prolonged delay in the commencement of construction works on the Mukongoro and Mweria branches when the minister is expected to commence construction and the projected timeline for completion. 2. The total funds allocated and expanded on the construction of the branches between the financial year 2018, 2019, and 2024, 2025, and whether there is any specific budgetary allocation for the construction of the two bridges in the 2025 and 2026 financial year, when the minister will commence the marking and installation of roads signs along the Embu County ring roads, particularly on the Kiritire, Siakago, Uwere, Runyenjes corridor and other sections of the ring roads network. 4. Measures in place to ensure compliance with the national roads safety standards across the Embu County roads network. Senator Dr. Alexander Munyimundigi, Embu County.
Senator for Marsabit County, the Honorable Mohammed Chute.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I have two statements to make. The first one is a report of a statement, request for a statement on the non-payment of ward officers in Marsabit County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 regarding the prolonged non-payment of salaries and allowances to ward officers who served under the county government of Marsabit from 2017 to 2023 to date. Mr. Speaker, sir, these officers diligently performed their duties in facilitating ward-level administration, coordinating county programs, and promoting public participation across the county, yet they remain uncompensated for their service throughout the 6-year period. The affected officers continue to face severe financial hardship, with many struggling to meet basic needs such as food, housing, school fees, and medical expenses. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1, the total number of all ward officers who served between 2017 and 2023 but remain unpaid, and provide a list indicating their names, wards of deployment, and job categories. Number 2, Honorable Speaker, reasons for the failure to pay salaries during the said period, clarifying whether budgetary provisions were made for these officers. Number 3, whether the county government of Marsabit received its equitable share of revenue allocation from the National Treasury for the religious, and if so, explain why these officers were not paid to date. Number 4, the steps taken by the county government to resolve this long-standing issue, outlining the times for the settlement of all outstanding arrears and the measures being put in place to prevent recurrence of such prolonged salary delays or non-payment of county staff in future. Honorable Speaker, my second statement reads, request for statement on the award of tender of Kenya's participation at the Osaka 2025 Expo. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industrialization regarding the award of the tender for the provision of event management, planning and implementation of Kenya's participation at the Osaka Expo 2025, which is tender number KEPROBA/SCM/RFP/003/2024-2025 by the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, KEPROBA. In the statement, the committee should address the following. 1, details on when the tender for Kenya participation at the Osaka 2025 Expo was advertised, the total number of firms that applied, how many were shortlisted, and how many proceeded to financial evaluation stage. Number 2, the evaluation criteria and scoring matrix used by KEPROBA, and explain how the firm that was awarded the tender satisfied both the technical and financial requirements. Number 3, whether the firm that was awarded the tender has demonstrable experience in managing international expos, or similar large-scale events, and clarify why more experienced firms have been selected. Finally, number 4, Honorable Speaker, the oversight and accountability mechanism put in place to ensure transparency, effectiveness, and the successful implementation of Kenya's participation in the Osaka 2025 Expo. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Do you have another statement, Senator Chute? Senator for Siaya County, the Honorable Oburu Oginga.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on a matter of county-wide concern regarding the plight of 508 whose employment at the Siaya County Referral Hospital was revoked by the County Public Service Board, citing irregular hiring. Mr. Speaker, sir, in December 2024, the board advertised 120 positions, but issued over 700 appointment letters. The workers served from January 2025, having completed an internship and document verification, yet have gone without pay for 9 months in August 2025. They were informed 580 of them were irregularly employed and that their names were missing from the county payroll. In the statement, the committee should address the following: circumstances under which employment of 580 out of 700 health workers whose duty, who had been duly recruited through advertised vacancies at the Siaya County Referral Hospital, were terminated by the Siaya County Public Service Board. 2, details of the affected workers and their respective stations of deployment prior to their termination. 3, measures in place to regularize their employment. Consider engagement of workers for more than 3 months continuously is deemed to confer permanent employment status. 4, timelines within which the affected health workers will be compensated for the period they served, which was more than 9 months. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rest my case. Thank you.
Senator for Nairobi City County.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on a matter of national concern regarding deaths and injuries sustained by some members of the public during the public viewing of the late Right Honorable Raila Odinga's body at both the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, and the Nyayo National Stadium on 16th and 17th October, respectively. Mr. Speaker, the majority of these deaths arose from acts of police action against unarmed civilians and need urgent investigative and remedial action. A few others were occasioned by stampedes caused by the said police action. It is unfortunate, Honorable Speaker, that even after years of Right Honorable Odinga having to live under a cloud of state brutality and torture, his own funeral was turned into a theater of more brutality against unarmed citizens, leading to their unnecessary deaths. The silence over these deaths and the acts of police brutality has been characteristically loud, yet the families have been sent into double mourning for their own and that of the Right Honorable Odinga. In the statement, the committee should address the following. Number one, the exact number of deaths and injuries arising from the events at both stadiums during the funeral ceremonies, detailing the cause of death in each case, and where police bullets were the cause, the progress of investigations to establish culpability for immediate prosecution. Secondly, measures in place to ensure that compensation for deaths and injuries from the two stated days will be extended to the families of the departed. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
There's a statement pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 by the Senator for Nairobi City County. Kindly proceed to read the approved version.
First of all, thank you so much, Honourable Speaker, and for the indulgence, because as the House is aware, on the day when there was a special sitting to mourn the late Raila Amolo Odinga, I was not in the House because I was amongst those who had been tasked to travel to India to bring back his remains. And let me thank all the colleagues and the majority leaders especially who convened very quickly the House to mourn this great leader. Honourable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement of global concern, namely the sudden passing of the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Kenya and ODM party leader, the Right Honourable Raila Amolo Odinga, on Wednesday, 15th October 2025. The entire nation received the news with shock and disbelief. Right Honourable Odinga had become a permanent fixture in the is why to be written today. The sense of loss that we feel is both deeply personal and profoundly shocking. On behalf of the ODM party, with a firm commitment that as students of the late Raila Odinga, it behooves all of us that even at this difficult moment to remain true to his teachings. Mr. Speaker, allow me to acknowledge that the late Raila Odinga taught us everything: how to fight for justice and freedom, how to build bridges across ethnic and political divides, how to remain true to ideals and conviction, as well as how to sustain a big political movement in the face of constant adversarial pressure from political foes. The only thing we have now learned is that he never taught us how to mourn him. Admittedly, therefore, we may have fallen short of his standards and threshold during this mourning period, sometimes seeming to pull in different directions, while most often caught up in the evident confusion and emotional blur that accompanied the public outpouring of grief following the death of our beloved leader. We take responsibility for any shortcomings from the leadership during this particular period. The Senate of the Republic of Kenya must certainly be aware of the role that the late Honourable Odinga played in its conception, in the long journey of constitutionalism and the new constitutional order, especially with regard to the evolution and the growth of parliamentary democracy. No one played a bigger role than the former Prime Minister. In the birth of the 2010 Constitution, which restored the bicameral parliament in this country, reference to Right Honourable Odinga as the father of devolution was not without cause, for everyone acknowledged that his vision, foresight and consistency brought towards a better constitution ensured we are all here today. Individually and collectively, we owe the departed Prime Minister a debt of gratitude. His place in the nation's history and in the world as a leading international statesman is guaranteed forever. Be that as it may, Mr. Speaker, this period has also opened our eyes to the sheer popularity that the Honourable Odinga enjoys across the globe. The tributes have poured in from every corner of the world. His life have been quite touching, some of them quite creative, like the clip of Tanzanian youth jumping into the sea while holding celebratory placards, or random travelers breaking into renditions of the late Odinga's favorite tune, Jamaican Farewell, by Harry Belafonte. The love has been heartwarming, even though this has been the most difficult period of our collective lives. The love and support has been phenomenal. Mr. Speaker, may I also pay tribute to the greater Odinga family, led by Dr. Oburu Oginga, who's now our new acting party leader, and Mama Ida Odinga for the long years that they not only shared their son, their brother, their father and husband with the world, but became a pillar on which he found comfort and safety through very turbulent years of a thoroughly consequential political life. Because of them, the Raila Odinga phenomenon was made possible. We will always celebrate them and the sacrifices they have made on behalf of millions. To all the heads of state and government across the world, To the supporters, the ordinary citizens, and the admirers of Raila who mourned with us, we saw you, we heard you, and we say thank you. Mr. Speaker, the outpouring of grief since the death of our leader, manifested by the millions who turned up to bid him farewell, as well as the emotions and passion expressed by citizens so far, confirm what we have always known, that the Right Honorable Odinga was a people's living institution. Therefore, we stand on hallowed ground today when we mourn him. For millions of us, Baba was a compass showing us direction and acting as a standard bearer for courage and principled leadership. It's no exaggeration, therefore, to state that the Right Honorable Odinga is the greatest leader and politician that this country has ever had. No one in this country bore more scars, more humiliation, and made more sacrifices for the common good than our departed icon. In the face of such challenges as Raila underwent, lesser leaders would have capitulated and given in to the allure of wealth, greed, tokenism, and bad governance. But the great Raila held his head high, stuck to his conviction, and lived a life that became a school on its own. Finally, Honorable Speaker, today the nation stands together to salute its favorite son. His legacy lives on, his dreams alive in us. As he watches over us from a peaceful place, we make a solemn vow to never compromise on the principles he taught us and the ideals by which he lived. This was an icon of justice and democracy revered across the world. I am privileged, Honorable Speaker, to have known and worked with him. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve at the feet of the enigmatic Raila Amolo Odinga. May he rest well. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I'm going to allow comments for not more than 15 minutes. If you have an opportunity to speak, kindly speak for not more than 3 minutes. The Honorable Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 3 minutes is such a short time because I wanted to comment on Senator Sifuna's statement.
Senator Osotsi, that a statement under 52(1). It does not attract comments.
Okay. So maybe we'll have another opportunity to make our comments because some of us were not in when this House was speaking about the late Honorable Raila Odinga. But for now, Mr. Speaker, let me make a comment on the statement by Senator Oburu, who is also my immediate boss in the party, on the state of the plight of health workers in Siaya. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious issue. I have been following that issue very keenly because I know we have a similar situation in my county where the plight of health workers is never taken seriously. Issues of declaration of redundancy and matters to do with the welfare of health workers. This is a matter that is very grave, Mr. Speaker, and I hope the Committee of Health will take it very seriously. And probably they need to extend their inquiries beyond Siaya to look at counties like Vihiga, which has been having perennial challenges around the welfare and the interest of health workers, because health is an important function in our counties, and I think it's important that those who are managing health workers at whatever level, their interest or their welfare be taken very, very seriously. Unlike what we see in our various counties, where there is deteriorating quality of health services in our health facilities, largely because of the way health workers are treated. So that's a very serious statement, and I request the committee to take it very seriously and come up with a report, and possibly to consider other counties, like my own counties, which have challenges around the welfare and the plight of health workers. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Joyce Korir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this chance. I would like to comment on the statement that has been read by the Honorable Sifuna on the passing on of Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Honorable
Senator Joyce, you cannot do that.
Okay.
That's a statement that was done. It's a personal statement under Standing Order 52-1.
It's okay, Honorable Speaker. We waited for that chance during that time, but we still look forward to maybe having time to really give our condolences. So this is very important hero who made a great legacy to this nation.
Just pick any statement and comment on, and maybe before you comment, you can, in passing, say something on the passing of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, but not necessarily tied on the personal statement by Senator for Nairobi City County. Senator for Kilifi County, Senator Stewart Mazayo.
Asante Mstahiki Spika. Mstahiki Spika, kwanza nataka nitoe kongole kwanza kwa hii statement ama taarifa iliyoletwa na mzee Oburu Odinga. Hiyo wafanyikazi ambao wako katika wameandikwa kazi katika Siaya County na ni watu karibu 700 walioandikwa kazi. Bwana Spika, lakini tunaona 580 waliweza kuachishwa kazi baada ya miezi fulani. Taarifa ya kuachisha kazi yenyewe ilikuwa haiko hali ya kisawasawa, lakini baada ya hayo ni kwamba watu hawa ambao walikuwa wameandikwa kazi hivi sasa hawako kazini. Mstahiki Spika, kuna tetesi nyingi sana, sio Siaya peke yake, lakini kila mahali katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, kuona ya kwamba wafanyikazi wanaofanya kazi katika kaunti kuachishwa kazi kiholela na wale walioandika kazi ni jambo ambalo linatendeka sana. Kwa hiyo tunasema ni lazima kuwe na njia ambayo kutakuwa na njia mwafaka, sheria ziko za kuandika watu na kuwafuta, na hatimaye pia katika makao yale ya kufanya kazi ya kisawasawa na zile vitu vyote ambavyo vinatakana kufanyia kazi wapewe. Bwana Spika, mwisho pia nataka kusema kwamba nataka kutoa kongole kwa mzee Daktari Oburu Odinga, kwa sababu kufikia hivi sasa yeye ndio kinara wa chama cha ODM hivi sasa, ambaye ameketi kwa hiyo mamlaka kisawasawa. Tuko na imani ya kwamba katika huu muungano tulio nao wa serikali ya broad based, mzee Odinga, sasa tutakuwa tunakosea mara nyingi tukitaja mzee Raila, lakini mzee baba yetu Oburu Odinga ataweza kuendesha chama kisawasawa vile tunavyotakana, na nataka kumpatia kongole sana. Vile vile nataka kupeana rambirambi zangu, si rambirambi lakini kuwaweka mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu familia ya mzee Odinga, baba Raila, iliyo na mama sasa, mama Ida, na watoto na wengineo. Tunaweza kuweka mbele ya Mwenyezi Mungu, kuwaombea ili Mwenyezi Mungu awapatie faraja.
One is, the Speaker, as I pass my deepest condolences to the families that have lost their loved ones. There is a section of police officers who are rogue, that they must have returns of killing Kenyans through taxpayers' bullets. Because, Mr. Speaker, and yet we have another incompetent Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA. Even in Kimwani area, Mr. Speaker, where 2 of my people were killed, IPOA has done absolutely nothing to date. And they even went ahead and even shot a motorbike. 6 bullets, Mr. Speaker. Why would you shoot a motorbike? For what purpose, Mr. Speaker? You know, it is very unfortunate that IPOA, which we give a lot of resources, has not arrested in an open and shut case in Kimwani area in Tindred, let alone Angata Baragoi. Now we have here in Kasarani Stadium, Mr. Speaker. And the sad reality is the Minister of Interior was present in stadium, running around like a headless chicken. He could not even plan, Mr. Speaker, to ensure we have a proper security in the high stake of public viewing of Right Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker. That vindicates me that the incompetence in that ministry is next to the devilish, Mr. Speaker. Secondly and finally is on roads, Mr. Speaker, by Senator Mundigi. Mr. Speaker, there is so much rains, we thank God for it. It is very unfortunate that KERA, KURA, which are unconstitutional bodies, continue to let us down. Mr. Speaker, for me, where I come from, Nandi, our roads are in sorry state. From the county roads called feeder, to the ones managed by KERA, to the ones managed by KURA. Mr. Speaker, I think it is a high time that we dismantle both KERA and KURA and allow KENA because of the international highways, Mr. Speaker, so that we can sort out once and for all, Mr. Speaker. It is very unfortunate. Now KERA is not functional. KURA is not functional. My governor is very incompetent. Even his own roads that goes to his house is not fixed. Mr. Speaker, this is very sad. Very tragic, Mr. Speaker. It is very sad. Finally, let me congratulate and wish well my party youth leader, Senator Oburu Odinga. We went to his home, Mr. Speaker, on behalf of all of us. Some of us drove almost 80 bulls to signify our broad further engagement into broad-based. I want to thank you for taking a stand that we'll work together through a better broad-based government. And I know, sir, courtesy of your
Senator Mwenyehaji Faki. Senator Faki.
Asante ya kuweza kuchangia taarifa kuhusiana na kupoteza kwa maisha kwa waombolezaji siku ambapo mwenda zake kiongozi wa chama chetu cha ODM Raila Amolo Odinga alipoletwa katika uwanja wa Kasarani. Mheshimiwa Spika, ilikuwa na masikitiko kwamba tuliweza kupoteza watu siku ile ambayo ilikuwa ni siku kubwa ya huzuni kwa nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, japokuwa hatuwezi kuwawekea kidole cha lawama polisi, lakini ni wazi kwamba walikuwa hawajakuwa tayari kuweza kukabiliana na ile siku ilivyokuwa imekuja kwa sababu ya mambo yalivyokuwa kwa siku hiyo. Mheshimiwa Spika, ikumbuke kwamba ilikuwa ni mambo ya ghafla, kwa hivyo sidhani kama walikuwa wameweza kujiandaa, lakini vyovyote vile ni kwamba tuliweza kupoteza watu katika hali ambazo si za kisawasawa kisheria. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hivyo ipo haja ya polisi wetu kupewa mafunzo ambayo yataweza kuwasaidia kukabiliana na mambo kama haya kwa siku za usoni, kwa sababu tumeona kwamba kuna mapungufu katika vile ambavyo waliweza kujipanga na kuweza kutekeleza ile shughuli ambayo ilikuwa pale. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia nichukue fursa hii kutoa rambirambi zangu kwa familia ya mwenda zake Raila Amolo Odinga ikiongozwa na Senator wa Siaya ndugu Daktari Oburu Odinga kwa pigo ambalo wameweza kulipata kumpoteza kiongozi ambaye ni kiongozi msifika Afrika nzima. Mheshimiwa Spika, mchango wake katika nchi hii utabakia katika nyoyo zetu kwa muda mrefu na siku nyingi ambazo Kenya itaendelea kuwa Kenya, kwa sababu alijitolea muhanga wakati ambapo wengi waliweza kuogopa kukabiliana na zile shida ambazo Kenya walikuwa nazo. Mheshimiwa Spika, vile vile nampa kongole Daktari Oburu Odinga kwa kutawazwa rasmi kama kiongozi wa chama cha ODM, na sisi kama viongozi wenzake katika bunge hili la Senate tutamsaidia kwa njia zozote zile kuhakikisha kwamba kazi ile inakuwa rahisi na anaweza kuongoza chama hichi katika kufikia kilele zaidi kuliko vile ambavyo kimekuwa kwa sasa. Na mwisho pia nachukua fursa hii kupeleka rambirambi zangu kwa Mama Ida na familia yote ya mwenda zake Raila Amolo Odinga kwa pigo ambalo ameweza lipata kwa kumpoteza kiongozi mkubwa kama huyo. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Senator Veronica.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to support the statement that has been brought to this House by our colleague, Senator Oburu Odinga, and to congratulate you on the new role that you've been given to head the party. If it was 2 years ago, before I was retired from being Secretary General of the UDA, I would have been in the league of inviting you for tea so that we can exchange notes on how to manage the leading political parties in Kenya. But now that I'm retired on that role, on the sidelines of the Senate lounge, we will discuss how you can manage some of your members, especially the ones who are energetic, like the Secretary General, so that you can keep the moderate, you can have the moderate style that we are used to you during Senate proceedings. So we congratulate you and we support you. You have our full support. The likes of Senator Mungatana, Senator Bugwa here can help you team Senator Sifuna so that he aligns with the broad-based arrangement that we have with the UDA. Honorable Speaker, I wanted to support the statement that he brought to the floor of this House because the hospitals are being mismanaged and the health workers are really being mismanaged. And that is not an isolated incident in Siaya County. It is very sad to see hospitals like in Murang'a County. Some are just being painted with good colors, and then people are being hoodwinked that health care is being rendered to Wananchi. It is not true. Those hospitals have to be equipped. The resources that are being sent to counties, Honorable Speaker, have to be utilized in the manner that is envisaged in the Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Indeed, health workers are a priority. If we cannot take care of health workers, there is no health care that is being given to Kenyans. So we are looking at the counties where we have health workers on strike all the time. And I'm looking at Kiambu County. It was a big shame to read the number of infants who have died in Kiambu County hospitals on account of health workers being on strike. It was even more shameful for Kiambu County to respond and say that it's not 150 infants who have died, to respond and say that it's about 68 or I don't know, 86. In this day and time, how can we lose an infant or a mother during childbirth? Even in jurisdictions which are not very developed, we no longer lose mothers during childbirth. So counties need to take health care, they need to take health workers on a more serious note so that the basic service that should be rendered to people to ensure that their lives are dignified.
Senator Kajwang. Yes, Senator for Homa Bay County.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as we resume our sittings from the recess, first of all, I'd like to join the House in expressing condolences on the passing on of our leader. All of us are affected. I am personally affected. And I know that all of us, many of us here, are graduates of the Raila Odinga School of Leadership. This House is what it is because of Raila Odinga. And Mr. Speaker, I want to urge that the last address that Raila Odinga made in this chamber, perhaps that could be publicized, because I would call it a manifesto on how to run this country. He spoke about everything. He spoke about devolution. He spoke about the Constitution. He spoke about the state of politics. If we can share that conversation with the world, that could be a conversation that shapes the kind of decisions we take going forward. I also rise to support the statement that has been requested by Senator Oburu. Mr. Speaker, I admire Senator Oburu's strength, tenacity. Many of us are still reeling from the shock of the loss of Raila. Many of us who perhaps are not related to him by blood. But I want to commend Senator Oburu because he has been on his feet, he has been welcoming delegations, he has been playing state duties, he has steered the ODM party. I have seen him steer his committee, and today he has brought a statement regarding the plight of the people of Siaya. Mr. Speaker, if there is one thing that Raila was passionate about, was the success of devolution. And the most important devolved fund, now more than ever, if we were to be true lieutenants of Raila Amolo Odinga, and if we are to live to his spirit, we must make sure that devolution works. And devolution, we have taken devolution as a matter of financing, sending money and oversighting the money. We now need to go beyond the financing to service delivery and the quality of service. Mr. Speaker, it is disheartening that in a situation like the one illustrated by Senator Oburu, you find counties are increasing their wage bill to percentages and levels that go beyond the PFM Act. But though, Mr. Speaker, if a county was to recruit health workers who are concerned with service delivery, ECD workers, agriculture extension officers. That is better than some counties that are employing people that we usually call sanguenas, whose job is to move around, making sure that the dais and the seat of the governor and the carpet of the governor has been cleaned. So I hope that the relevant committee will look into this matter and ensure that we provide proper guidance. There is nothing wrong with counties employing health workers. And Raila Amolo Odinga rejected the proposal that came from centrists that health workers should be recruited from Nairobi. I support that position, but for us to make sure that we validate that position, our governors must take things seriously. Mr. Speaker, Raila Odinga has left us orphans, but he has not left us badly. He has left us with a Senate. He has left us with devolution. He has left us with a...
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the floor. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to comment on the statement on the deaths that occurred the day the Honorable Raila Odinga was brought to Nairobi. Mr. Speaker, there are allegations that some of the people who lost their lives there lost their lives as a result of direct ineptitude from the police and misuse of firearms. Mr. Speaker, I want to join with colleagues who say something needs to be done about the training of police officers in the use of firearms. Mr. Speaker, in Tana River County on 18th October, while we were on recess, a mere simple incident of just effecting arrest in Peponi village in Muina location, just effecting arrest on Mr. Maulid, the police fire a bullet and somebody dies. I mean, you are two officers and you have gone to arrest. Why would someone die under such circumstances and a bullet is found there? Mr. Speaker, there is a problem. Our police officers are handling firearms, and something needs to be done. I want to take the floor also to say the DCI must act quickly on that particular case in Muina, and the IPOA must also do something quickly, because the people of Tana River are also asking the question, what is happening to our police officers? How can you kill someone when you have set out to just effect an arrest? How do you do that, Mr. Speaker? So, Mr. Speaker, I want to join with those who say something needs to be done about police officers and how they are mishandling firearms. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Olekena.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to contribute on this statement by the youth leader, the now acting chairperson, party leader of my party. Mr. Speaker, this statement is quite troubling in the sense that we as representatives here expect to make it easy for people who go to school to be employed. But we find ourselves in a situation where our parents have sold everything, their cows, they sell their land, so that they can send young people to be able to go and learn on how to become doctors. Then a county government employs them, but not really employs them, absorbs them as interns, 580 of them. And then after some time they are told you've been employed, you've worked without being paid anything, now you can go out there. Why should we then be pushing for people to go to school? Yet once they graduate from school, they don't get any jobs. Mr. Speaker, this is a statement that should make us think. The distinguished senator from Siaya has really awoken a spirit in me that says that we have to figure out whether we maintain counties as just employment hubs or whether we now figure out on where to get money to be able to employ these 580 people. And this comes down to the budget of this country. Mr. Speaker, what I would like the Labour Committee to also investigate when they are looking at this committee, this statement brought by the youth leader, is whether that county budgeted anything for interns, and whether the national government, the amount of money that is kept in the Ministry of Health, because the budget of the Ministry of Health is almost 5 times the amount of money that goes to about 6 counties in this country. So we need to have a balance. So if you investigate those two, that is the only way we are going to get answers. If we cannot get answers, then we better not tell people to go to school and stay at home without being employed. Healthcare is important, but also our own personal welfare. The welfare of the young men who are in the streets jobless is also equally important. You cannot tell me take my kid to school, and then when that kid graduates from school, they are tarmacking like a person who has never gone to school. You know, this is a balance that we have to create. So, Mr. Speaker, I support this statement. And for once, in the spirit of Raila Amolo Odinga, let us fight for devolution fully. Let us reduce the money that is staying in the national government for the Ministry of Health. And
Senator Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi niweze kuchangia statement ambaye imeletwa na party leader ambaye ni party leader wa ODM. Bwana Spika, mambo ya afya imeleta sinda kwa sababu kila mara kaunti nyingi, kaunti 47 zimekuwa tukipa pesa, lakini mara mingi imekuwa tukiwapatia pesa magavana, wanafanya kazi, wanafukuza madaktari, wanafukuza wafanyakazi na watu walipu pesa. Kwa hiyo hii mambo haiko Siaya peke yake, iko kaunti nyingi. Ya pili, napongeza party leader ambaye ni Oburu ambaye katika kupata ile kiti. Ningekuomba, unajua ile ndugu yako amekuwa akipigania mambo ya devolution katika masinani na mambo ya parapara na mambo ya vitu zile zingine. Bwana Dr. Oburu, ningekuomba wakati umekalia ile kiti mpaka uwe mwerefu kama Solomon, kwa sababu mara mingi utapata sina nyingi, watu waikwambia utoe kwa serikali, waikwambia hivi, na isipokuwa uwe sunjaa ya maombi hakuna mahali utasaidia hii party ya ODM. Kwa sababu nakumbuka, hata ni asante sana kwa sababu nakumbuka miezi ambaye 5 iliyopita kiongozi ambaye aliaga dunia alikuwa pale, ni kama alikuwa amekuja kutupa baraka. Amewacha serikali ya Kenya Kwanza iwe muungano, ODM tuwa kitu kimoja, ndio tuweze kuona vile binadamu atendea vizuri. Kwa hivyo ningekuomba, kwa watu wengi watakwambia mtoke, lakini ukumbuke mmewashwa kwa serikali ya muungano ndio kaunti 47 iweze kupata matunda. Mambo ya parapara, mambo ya afya, mambo ya maji na mambo ya vitu zile zingine. Kwa hivyo ningekuomba utakuwa kinyenyekea uweze kusaidia hii serikali ya muungano tuweze kwenda para moja. Wale watalete maneno haifai ni avali.
And the Public Appointments County Assemblies Approval Act and for connected purposes. Order number 9, the National Construction Authority Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 15 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act and for connected purposes. Order number 10, the Agriculture Produce Minimum Guaranteed Returns Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to support agriculture production by providing a framework for ensuring minimum guaranteed returns in counties and for connected purposes. Number 3 of 2024, resumption of debate.
Now, when debate was interrupted on Wednesday, 8th of October, 2025, the Senator for Nairobi City County was on the floor, and you had 15 minutes. You may proceed.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I remember that debate that was happening in Busia. I wish to forfeit my remaining time because I think the points that I wanted to make on that particular bill had been made. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Aaron Cheriot, the Senate Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this bill, the County Oversight and Accountability Bill 2024. Mr. Speaker, this is an act of Parliament. The bill is drafted by Senator Ledamo Lekina, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Speaker. I had read parts of it, actually jointly with Senator Kisang. I had read the objects, actually, Mr. Speaker, of the bill, and I found the memorandum quite interesting. If you read, Mr. Speaker, says that this bill provides for us a legal framework for effective oversight of county governments by the Senate. And I'd wish that the long-serving, I'm not sure if it is suffering, but serving, chairman of the County Public Accounts Committee, Senator Moses Kajwang, can listen, because I'll say a few things about oversight responsibility on individual counties and why I feel that perhaps there is need for a change in approach, Mr. Speaker, on how we carry out that particular mandate. But I congratulate these two colleagues of mine who have taken time to read the 2010 Constitution and appreciate, Mr. Speaker, that as a Senate we've been tasked with the responsibility of oversighting national revenue that is allocated to county governments. Moreover, under the concept of devolution and principles of public finance, the input of the public is required in all. This bill provides a mechanism on how to oversight over county budgets and therefore gives effect to the powers of our founding constitutional article, Mr. Speaker, which is Article 96 of our Constitution, 174 and 201 as well, the three most distinct and prideful placed constitutional articles to us as senators, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, this bill handles preliminary matters, which includes the guiding principle that guides senatorial oversight. Mr. Speaker, there have been debates in this House. If you read the records of this House over the years, Senator Madzayo, who's one of the longest-serving colleagues in this House, Mr. Speaker, will tell you that positions have shifted and members are prevaricated depending on the position that I hold. There are governors that I watch nowadays, Mr. Speaker, and hear their thoughts about the Senate and its duties. And I recall the things I used to hear them say on this floor when they were senators, Mr. Speaker. There are also equally senators that I hear on this floor, Mr. Speaker, because we've now gone full circle, Mr. Speaker. I think all that is left now, Mr. Speaker, is for a senator to be an MCA. Otherwise, though actually, if you, that has happened actually, Mr. Speaker, because I've remembered our departed colleague, Senator Godliver Omondi, who served with us in this House, but went ahead to serve in the subsequent session as a member of the County Assembly in Vihiga County, elected on the ODM party. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, we have all gone full circle. We have senators who've served as MCAs, MCAs who've gone ahead to serve as governors, governors who've been senators, and governors who previously served as senators, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, the point that I was trying to make, Mr. Speaker, is that we need not vary our positions on this issue of Senate oversight, depending on where we presently serve. That has been the tragedy of devolution. There are people who held very radical views when they were in this House, Mr. Speaker. But the minute they crossed over either to the County Assembly or to serve as their colleagues in this House today who have served, and I'm not talking about you, Mr. Speaker, but other colleagues here in this House, Mr. Speaker, who've served as governors. And I know the things they used to say back then and what is their present position with regards to senatorial oversight. We need this bill, Mr. Speaker, to enable us actually set a framework that will transcend time, Mr. Speaker, so that it will not be a personal position, that the rules that apply today for an individual when they are serving as a senator or when they are serving as an MCA will still serve the tomorrow as they are governors. Left on its own, Mr. Speaker, we've left it for senators actually to make their own independent decision on how they coexist with the county governments of the respective counties where they come from. Therefore, we've seen it all, Mr. Speaker. Senators who try and be BFFs with their governors, then they had a fantastic fallout and say explosive things about each other, or those that are adversarial from day one to the last, like my good friend Senator Cherargei and his governor, or any others that I can think about, Mr. Speaker, who perhaps have never shared a common position on anything, Mr. Speaker. This will help vary such conditions and ensure that there is a framework which, if you execute and follow through as a senator, nobody can accuse you, Mr. Speaker, that either you're harboring ambitions or, Mr. Speaker, perhaps there is anything personal to the job that you do. The work of a senator is extremely difficult. If you speak and speak boldly about issues that are going on in your county, many a times you'd be accused of carrying a personal agenda actually against the county government, Mr. Speaker. If you keep quiet again, Mr. Speaker, you'd be accused that you're eating together with the county governor, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, it's not a very enviable position to be a senator in this republic. And it is for want of good laws such as this, Mr. Speaker, that we've left ourselves exposed and open. There are certain things that are being proposed in this bill, which I shall be speaking about in the next few minutes, Mr. Speaker, that help me appreciate and say that if we were to set this in law, Mr. Speaker, then tomorrow, when I carry out that particular mandate, nobody will accuse me that I have a personal agenda against my governor. Nobody will say Senator Ledama wants to unseat Governor Patrick Ntutu, and therefore he's speaking about the things he speaks about in Narok County, Mr. Speaker. It will be known that the senator is simply doing their damn job, Mr. Speaker, which is the one thing that we have struggled with in the last 3 cycles that this House has existed, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to appreciate first the thought that has gone to this, Senator Ledama and Senator Kisang, and say that this is such an urgent bill, colleagues, that I hope we can finish with debating it, and tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, we can finish the second reading, and before we break for the long recess at the end of this 4th session, we need to have sent this bill to the National Assembly, Mr. Speaker, because it will be a travesty, Mr. Speaker, of all odds, if we succeed, Mr. Speaker, or fail, rather actually, to pass such bills that make our work better and leave ourselves to open interpretation of what citizens think about us. I did a Senate Oversight Conference, for example, Mr. Speaker, in my county, early this year, actually, mid of this year. And I brought delegates from all the 30 wards that exist in my own county, Mr. Speaker, where I presented to them the key indicators, things which I consider, in my own honest view, to be the key indicators of the health of a county government, Mr. Speaker. Certain indicators, which if you point out, Mr. Speaker, you're able to determine whether that county is healthy, prospering, or it is declining and about to die, Mr. Speaker. Matters such as on-source revenue, Mr. Speaker, that you can point out. If you can point out a clearly demonstrated path, Mr. Speaker, that this is the on-source revenue that this county government has collected over the 10, 11, 12, or 13 years of its existence, then people are able to see that there are structures that have been set in place that are operational. Mr. Speaker, CRA has even done a more important job at pointing to the revenue potential of all our counties. I don't know how many senators know the revenue potential of their counties, Mr. Speaker, and compare with the index, Mr. Speaker, of the performance vis-a-vis the potential, Mr. Speaker. That needs to be an indicator for which we measure the performance of the individual county governments, Mr. Speaker. It needs not just be a figure. Mr. Speaker, and you know, in these days of SHA, thanks to SHA, Mr. Speaker, many county governors are actually combining the facility improvement fee together with on-source revenue that they have generated to appear as if they have collected significant amount of funds, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, that's why you're seeing a flashy figure everywhere that, oh, Vihiga for the first time has collected, I don't know, $1 billion or this, without disclosing, actually, Mr. Speaker, that 70% of that money is treatment that has been rendered to citizens of that county. In fact, Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary for Health is coming here tomorrow. I'll be waiting for him to know, because I've asked him both in private and in public, that help this House appreciate how much compensation is, Mr. Speaker, individually, so that we are able to distinguish the amounts that are being reported as on-source revenue, Mr. Speaker, by our county governments from the health facilities, Mr. Speaker, and those that are being collected from other sources. There is nothing wrong in a county receiving significant amounts of money from SHA and other insurance, Mr. Speaker, because it's a pointer that your hospitals are actually functional and people are seeking services in those facilities. Therefore, it should not be interpreted to mean that I have anything against county governments. In fact, that is a dream of SHA, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that we have public health institutions that are in good condition, Mr. Speaker, that are able to attend to the needs of our citizens. Therefore, it should never be misinterpreted. The other indicator, Mr. Speaker, is on the very question that Dr. Oburu Odinga was just speaking about a few minutes ago. And I've listened to colleagues with a lot of concern. Because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot turn counties to be employment bureaus. I disagree with colleagues who continue to push in this house and say, oh, hey, this number of people, you need to increase. At the end of the day, finance is about figures. Most of public finance. It's not a romantic story that you tell and say, I have employed 10,000 people. It's about the structure that we have put in place in law, Mr. Speaker. Through the Public Finance Management Regulation 25, we have set the conditions upon which the maximum allowed amount that a county government, Mr. Speaker, can spend on remuneration to the public officials that serve in that particular county. If you bust that ceiling, there's nothing to celebrate about. I, for example, pointed out to the people of my county and said, if our county government, which has 4,000 employees, Mr. Speaker, in a county of 1 million people, end up consuming in compensation to employees nearly 20 or 30% of the shareable revenue to just pay salaries, is it a proper and prudent use of public resources, Mr. Speaker, where 4,000 people are consuming 20 or 30% of resources that are meant to be shared, Mr. Speaker, amongst 1 million people? That is a question that we must answer as this House. We must balance the needs, Mr. Speaker. If you feel that as a county government, you need to employ more ECD teachers, more doctors, then the prudent thing is to see where do you counterbalance that number with. Where is it, Mr. Speaker, that you need to reduce? Because at the end of the day, let's face it, it's not possible to employ everyone. And that we continue to miss it. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, and this is a part that I pleaded for the attention of the chair and the members of the County Public Accounts Committee, Mr. Speaker, I have said it in private and in public that I believe that the system that we use of holding governors to account by appearance to our County Public Accounts Committee, while it is a good model, Mr. Speaker, it needs to be made better. There are many occasions, Mr. Speaker, where I have watched colleagues appear alongside members of that committee, and they have limited time, Mr. Speaker, to either cross-examine the presentation and the material that is being drawn before them, Mr. Speaker, or sometimes, and with a lot of difficulty, see even your own colleagues actually, not necessarily the current PAC chaired by Senator Moses Kajwang, but even in previous years, Mr. Speaker, where your own colleagues side with your governor, and you are the legitimate representative of the people whose matters are being discussed at that particular time. Previously, for example, Mr. Speaker, in the first cycles of devolution, when county governments were beginning to open roads, it was not uncommon, for example, to find that a county government brings and tables a list before the House of institutions that are non-existent. And because you don't come from that particular county, Mr. Speaker, how would you tell? If I sit in County Public Accounts Committee, and the list of institutions have been tabled that this was constructed in such and such a place, Mr. Speaker, in Kilifi County. And the auditors do not pick it because most of the time, auditors only sample a few. They may not necessarily go deep down to the details. Then you yourself, as a senator, because you don't actively participate in looking into those books, with the exception of only appearing on the day when your governor is coming before Public Accounts Committee, where is the opportunity to point out those errors? Mr. Speaker, there were even as absurd things as counties that appeared before this House with their audit list saying that we constructed a road from A to B, similarly down the list from B to A. And because many of the people seated in that committee don't come from the specific county in question, Mr. Speaker, it's difficult for them to point out. I have continued to argue, Mr. Speaker, that if we want to be fair to each other, is it not possible to have a more decentralized approach to looking at the audit reports of our counties, Mr. Speaker, in such a manner that we have all the 47 representatives, heads of delegations of this county, look into those books. If it can even be possible, Mr. Speaker, to have us in clusters, put us together as members from a particular region or a particular persuasion, Mr. Speaker, so that if you play games, Senator Ladama, with the books of Kericho County, the day the books of Narok are brought before me, I will also play similar games. If you give serious attention to my matters, then subsequently, the day the issues of the people of Narok will appear before me, I'll give the similar attention to detail. Mr. Speaker, as it is today, that is a question that remains unanswered because many people continue to question us in our counties and respective counties, Mr. Speaker, that do you see these things? Are this report brought before your house? Remember, an audit, Mr. Speaker, is not an X-ray. It is not a scan that reveals all the maladies that are inside a county government. It only points out to certain errors that have been picked by auditors in the course of their audit process. You, as a representative of the people that you meet on a daily basis, you meet with them in public engagements, in weddings, in funerals, in churches, in fundraisers, in sports events. They tell you about the things that happen in the county. Yet, your participation is limited on that particular issue. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I continue to urge colleague senators that let us rethink and find a better way. Just like Senator Ledama and Kisang are asking us, Mr. Speaker, to review this issue of accountability and oversight. I believe at the third reading of this bill, Senator Ledama, it is possible to propose an amendment on how that can be better done, either in statute or if we find that to be too intrusive, because we don't want to legislate technical issues of how the House operates, then let's have a review of our standing orders, if members are colleagues, unless it works differently for you, colleagues. But that's just how I see things in this particular issue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there is a proposal for public participation facilities. You know, this issue of public participation, we are the ones actually who've cornered ourselves as legislators. Yes, constitutionally, all matters that involve the public, we are supposed to give guidance and listen to what the people say. But it was not an open, blank check that on every matter. You know the absurdity about the country that we live here today, Mr. Speaker. Even on matters where people have spoken sometimes through their representatives, like the way we do, we carry out public participation on almost all bills that we transact. But any idler out there, Mr. Speaker, who rushes to court and claims that, oh, there wasn't sufficient public participation, you find that they are granted stay orders. And you're told, oh, that bill can wait. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether that gathering that used to exist, because I remember of it, between the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature still exists. Because there are certain things that you must demand of the Chief Justice, what's her name? Martha Koome. You cannot tell me, Mr. Speaker, that the representatives of the people gathered in both houses of parliament go through all the rigorous challenges of coming up with a legislation, pass it, it is taken to the president, assented, then somehow an individual seated pretty in Kirinyaga goes ahead and stays a section of that law for the next 4 or 5 years. And sometimes it is on matters very critical to the people. When we passed, for example, the T-bill in 2020 this year, it took 5 years for the High Court to make a determination. The people that were benefiting illegally from cess that is charged to our tea farmers, Mr. Speaker, went and procured a court order. And for 5 years, despite the fact that the people of Kenya had spoken through their representative speaker, they stayed provisions of that law for a good 5 years. You must look the Chief Justice straight in the eye and tell her that even the judiciary have their own checks and balances. We may not determine for them how they do their work, Mr. Speaker, that they are neutral arbiters to this conflict, but the threshold surely needs to be raised. If you feel that certain constitutional provisions have been violated, give yourself sufficient time, because these are heavy matters of public interest. Parliament does not act on its own. You cannot tell me that Parliament, an institution of equal standing before our Constitution, constitutionally speaking, Mr. Speaker, no arm of government is greater than the other. You cannot say the executive is greater than the judiciary or judiciary is greater than Parliament. Once a matter has been treated and has gone through all the procedures of one arm of government, the judicial restraint, Mr. Speaker, must be exercised when looking on those particular matters. It cannot be, Mr. Speaker, that it is easier to procure and just ensure that you have a stay order against a certain provision of law that exists in perpetuity, 4 years, 5 years, 3 years. I wish, Mr. Speaker, number one, and the most absurd thing about these orders is that they are issued ex parte. Parliament doesn't even know that somebody has raised a complaint. Some of the issues that are being canvassed in those rulings have been canvassed, for example, in courts of similar standing, Mr. Speaker. Case in point, the cybersecurity law last week. You remember what happened in 2019. Parliament passed that particular law. Of the law. What is the standard upon which, Mr. Speaker, a court of law can stay provisions of law that have gone through a parliamentary process, and for how long, Mr. Speaker? Because two things are important. One, determination on at what level. Two, to what period of time. If you are staying it for 30 days, Mr. Speaker, and you're saying there is a risk that certain people, their rights will be trampled upon if this law is enacted and acted upon immediately, and you're saying that we are staying it for 30, 40 days, Mr. Speaker, we'd have that conversation. But the practice nowadays, Mr. Speaker, is that people know, because these orders are issued ex parte, and many of them, because Parliament itself has no pecuniary interest other than public interest, Mr. Speaker, even how we process, Mr. Speaker, our appeal to those positions, it takes longer than usual. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that particular matter, because it was not the main reason why I rose to speak about this bill. But Senator Ledama, on this issue of public participation, my honest view is that we would better handle the public participation elements of oversight and accountability bill, but through a bill that is, I think, before the National Assembly currently. And I have seen, because I want to believe that the Speaker consented that that bill actually must come here. We tried last term, we never succeeded, but because we are the adults in the room most of the time, if our colleagues in the other house conclude on that particular bill and send it, I believe that the country actually deserves a law on public participation. I know many times, including even in the last decision of the Senate versus the National Assembly in the Supreme Court, Parliament has been fingered actually and asked that, can you consider passing this legislation so that the House, so that we are not accused actually of leaving out members of the public in considering the matters that come before us. Mr. Speaker, that's all that I wish to say about this particular bill. The two things that I feel need to be considered specially on the key indicators, Mr. Speaker, ward oversight, and on this matter of public participation. If I convince you, Senator Ledama and Senator Kisang, I'd rather that we leave it out and address it actually through a more comprehensive bill on public participation, which I know is presently before the National Assembly, so that we don't have piecemeal laws on how to carry out public participation. On now, for this is Senate oversight. Tomorrow we'll have something on health. We say, if you want to handle this topic, this is how you do public participation. To me, the neater thing to do is to have a standalone law on public participation, especially on items that are before us as Parliament. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Moses Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the County Oversight and Accountability Bill that has been co-sponsored by Senator Ledama Olekina and Senator Kisang. Mr. Speaker, this is not the first time this House is processing this bill. This could be the third time that this House is seized of this particular bill. I do recall in the last Parliament, when I chaired the Devolution Committee, My committee wrote a report on this particular bill, brought the report to the House debated the bill, and the House approved the bill and sent it to the National Assembly, only for it to die in the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, we sought to find out the reasons why the National Assembly killed the bill. It appears that the bill was not even read a first time because we didn't get any feedback on what the National Assembly found to be offensive about this particular bill. Mr. Speaker, in line with the earlier communication by the Speaker when the House sat, with regards to processing business of the House before committees and in plenary, we must also have a conversation with our brothers in the other House. A good number of senators here have sponsored private bills, but those bills feature nowhere in the order paper and in the schedule of the National Assembly. Mr. Speaker, it's very painful for a member to go through the motions, to engage researchers, to engage policy experts, and then come up with a legislative proposal, and then this House spends quality time to debate that bill, and then it goes to the other House and disappears in the cracks without it even being subjected to debate or being tested through public participation. Mr. Speaker, I say so because personally, I brought 2 bills to this House at the very, very early stages when this 13th Parliament started. I brought the County Boundaries Bill, which was part of the bills that were required under the NADCO process. Mr. Speaker, the County Boundaries Bill, again, almost, I think this is the 3rd time that we are trying to pass it. And we know that the Constitution requires Parliament to enact legislation to give effect to that particular article that relates to alteration or matters of boundary disputes. In Vihiga, Mr. Speaker, there has been a long-standing dispute between Vihiga County and Kisumu County over the status of Maseno and over where the borders should lie. Mr. Speaker, very soon you might hear that there have been some conflict that has flared up in some borders. I'm very happy that the conflict that was there between Kericho County and Kisumu County, the elders found a way of working things together. However, Mr. Speaker, we cannot build a future, we cannot build a country just on intentions. We must be deliberate in institutionalizing things, and that's why the County Boundaries Bill was important. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, there is no clarity on how far the other House has gone in processing that bill. The same case applies to my County Vocational Training and Education Bill. Mr. Speaker, you know that vocational training, village polytechnics, have been devolved to county governments, but we are still using a TVET Act that looks at things from a Nairobi perspective. I am using these examples to illustrate that we need better synergies between the 2 houses. Mr. Speaker, we need, even those of us who are leaders of our respective parties, in our parliamentary group meetings, the conversations we should have should be around seamless interface, seamless relay of bills from one House to the other. Otherwise, the 2 houses will start looking like they are political formations, and yet we are institutions in the Constitution that are supposed to work together to ensure that our people get the best service. Mr. Speaker, I do hope that when this House passes this bill, perhaps for the 3rd or the 4th time, the National Assembly will take it seriously so that it can be processed to its logical conclusion. When Senator Ledama started talking about this bill, Mr. Speaker, I do recall we were with him in the Public Accounts Committee in the last Parliament. And it was challenges around this post-mortem oversight that I believe drove the intention to come up with this piece of legislation. And I do take kindly the contribution made by the majority leader. And I'm going to speak to them not in a manner of rebutting, but in a manner of debating so that we can, engage and extend our thoughts. And I believe that we can find something better. It was clear that the mechanisms of parliamentary systems and practices that we had borrowed from were all post-mortem. They were all, we were morticians. And that seems to be parliamentary practice, Mr. Speaker, that generally certain accountability committees of Parliament act in a post-mortem, in a mortician manner. And the question has been, how can we change our procedures so that Parliament is more of a physician, coming in proactively, rather than a mortician coming in when the body is dead? And so, Mr. Speaker, this House toyed with a number of initiatives to ensure that senators individually and collectively had the resources, had the power, and had the statutory, power to go out and carry oversight. Mr. Speaker, part of the earlier interventions, I do recall the then Senator Kiraitu Murungi, the senator for Meru at that time, made a proposal that why don't we make an amendment to the Parliamentary Service Commission Act so that we can have subcommittees of the Parliamentary Service Commission, one that looks at matters and interests of the Senate, and another one that looks at matters and interests of the National Assembly. Unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, that proposal did not see the light of day. We went ahead and attempted to come up with regulations under the PFM Act to ensure that there was some support, there was some allocation for senators to carry out proactive oversight. The argument then, Mr. Speaker, was that when you employ somebody to deliver a duty, you have an obligation to provide them with the tools of trade. You cannot employ a teacher, expect the teacher to teach your children, and expect the same teacher to buy the chalk that they're going to use to teach those children. And so that was the argument that over a long period of time gave rise to the Senate Oversight Fund. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate our colleagues who sit in the Parliamentary Service Commission and the leadership of this House that ultimately, even though the figures are not sufficient, but ultimately we now have certain resources that can enable senators to carry out proactive oversight. What I want to request Senator Ledama and Senator Kisang is that the oversight fund and arrangements came after you had thought through this piece of legislation. Is there a way you can tie the current reality to your original intentions so that as much as this is an oversight and accountability bill, it ties neatly with the oversight arrangements that currently exist in the Senate? I think that is something that can be done, and amendments can be proposed at the next stage of reading. Mr. Speaker, another contentious matter in this bill that we have looked at previously is a proposal that every county should, when this matter came before my committee and we are doing public participation on it, and be happy to sit in a church. Happy to sit in a church. In some areas, people would be happy to sit in a CDF hall. And so making it mandatory for every county, I got the gist of his argument. Him being a man who has lived in the United States. In the United States, there's something called a town hall. And that town hall exists almost in every village. In fact, the model of administration in many of the areas where we are drawing our version of civilization from, you would find that every local community, there would be a church, there would be a post office, there would be a town hall, of course there would be a school, of course there would be a hospital, and if it was British, there would be a pub. Because those are areas that they form the soul and the spirit of a town, a city, or a village. And so perhaps what Senator Ledama is advancing is that we must have the equivalence of town halls, public spaces that are not owned by anybody but owned by the same members of public, which then can be used as impartial fora and impartial places for public participation. If that is the intention, Mr. Speaker, I do support that we must make sure that our counties, there's a town hall in every county, and to the greatest extent possible, we provide facilities at the ward level. Of course, we must also ask ourselves the question whether we have built enough hospitals, we have built enough ECD centers, whether we have built enough youth polytechnics, and some of these public participation facilities perhaps can be located or situated within some of these facilities. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of oversight, and the majority leader has given his manifesto on how it ought to look like. And I think that we generally agree that there must be a different way of doing things. Mr. Speaker, it is my conviction that every member of this House is involved in oversight in one way or the other, because every member of this House belongs to one committee or the other. Mr. Speaker, if you belong to the Agriculture Committee, you should be able to ask questions around agricultural policies and practices. If you belong to the Education Committee, you should be able to raise questions on ECD implementation and the state of youth polytechnics in your respective counties. If you belong to the Roads Committee and all the other committees. So, Mr. Speaker, it is not only the public accounts and the public investment committees that carry out oversight. In fact, Mr. Speaker, our mandate is extremely limited because our mandate is post-mortem. And it is not post-mortem by standing order. It is post-mortem by constitution, by Public Audit Act, by parliamentary practice and parliamentary tradition. I want to challenge the chairs of the other committees in this House. Please do not be afraid. I have seen committees like the Roads Committee demanding accountability on utilization of the Roads Maintenance Levy Fund. We did that in the last Parliament, and governors ran to court to stop us. I have seen the Education Committee ask questions around the state of ECD centers. I have seen all the other committees. When the Agriculture Committee with Senator Murango, we used to consistently and regularly ask questions about implementation of county government policies. So we must look at all of us collectively as overseers of affairs and practices and operations in county governments. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to the individual role of a senator in terms of oversight, and I hope that Senator Mtata would one day be able to tell us the long and short of the decision that was made in the matter between him and Busia County government. Because, Mr. Speaker, it is being reported that oversight responsibility is not individual, it is institutional. Mr. Speaker, if it was institutional, then why do we have an oversight fund for respective senators? It means that even that oversight fund is unconstitutional. Mr. Speaker, we must make sure that we've got the right jurisprudence, because our partners in county governments would hide behind that, so that if you went to your county to ask for certain information, certain records, under the freedom of access to information, which is part of the Bill of Rights in this Constitution, you are told that we can only release documents if they've been signed by the clerk of the Senate. There is nowhere, I do not think that there is any parliamentary system or any parliamentary practice where an elected member, a person elected by those residents, constituents, is barred, is muzzled from asking questions on behalf of the people, because our job is representation. Now, representation, you represent the people who elected you. Of course, when you come to the Senate, you represent the entire nation, but you've got a primary responsibility to represent the people who elected you, and that means you must ask questions. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to make sure that, and earlier on, I'd already commended our two colleagues who were in the Parliamentary Service Commission, the ones who are consulting Senator Mogeni and Senator Joyce Korir, that at the end of at least we finally saw a little bit of resources for the Senate Oversight Fund. But we need to be more innovative to ensure that more of the money goes into activities that make sense in the eyes of our people, rather than into consultancies and into administrative and bureaucratic expenses that then reduce whatever is available for a senator to be able to walk around. Mr. Speaker, it has also been suggested that members of the public feel a sense of fatigue, that Senate is always asking the tough questions, but then there is no action. Mr. Speaker, it is for this reason, step of the ODPP, saying that in many cases they have made recommendations, they have done investigations, and handed over the files to the ODPP for prosecution, and the ODPP has invoked their constitutional power and decided not to pursue prosecution of cases. And in some cases, Mr. Speaker, the ODPP initiates prosecution and along the way drops prosecution, does a null prosecution, and you see the Constitution gives them that power. However, Mr. Speaker, we were informed by Senior Counsel Okongo Mogeni that under the ODPP Act, Parliament has the power to demand a report on any matter from the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. Mr. Speaker, we are going to invoke that power, and we are going to invite the ODPP, and we are going to ask for an explanation on some of the issues that have been cited as contentious, or issues that have been withdrawn where the evidence prima facie exists and where some actions appear as if they're done out of political expedience. And so we must also ensure that our partners, implementing partners, also do the right thing. I wish this Parliament had a police cell somewhere where we could issue orders directly to detain persons who perhaps demonstrate contempt to Parliament or who lie under oath. Mr. Speaker, a lot of people who come before Parliament lie through their teeth. I remember one governor launching a county headquarters and sitting on the chair and starting operations. And when he came before my committee, under oath, he swore that that facility is not working. And yet, we had information in the public domain to that effect. I wish we had the power to deal with those things instantly. I wish that the amendments by Senator Osotsi could see the light of day so that we can strengthen the penalties and the consequences of non-cooperation or contempt of parliament or lying before parliament. Mr. Speaker, I conclude by recommending that this House passes this bill, but let us also not forget to strengthen our small brothers in the counties called the county assemblies. Because at Senate, we can talk of oversight, we can talk public participation, but at the micro level, that exercise is conducted by members of the county assembly. I am glad we have provided them with financial autonomy, and so that should allow them to budget, so that every bill that comes before them, they can sponsor public participation without going to the executive to sponsor that exercise. So let's strengthen our county assemblies, let's strengthen the institutions, and let's live true to some of the ideals that the late Raila Odinga had espoused when he came before this House. Devolution is work in progress. It is not possible to get it right in a period of 15 years. And so now more than ever, we as members of the Senate, we must make sure that we are actively involved in oversight. Oversight is not for park and pick. Every member of this Senate, be it delegated legislation, be it rules, powers, and privileges, if you sit in a committee of the Senate, you are an overseer at an institutional level, but also individually, you've got a responsibility to go back to your county to oversight. Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I support.
Thank you. Senator Samson Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for this opportunity. I want from the onset to congratulate the distinguished senator, Senator Ledama Olekina, for breathing life to Article 96 of the Constitution 2010 on the role of the Senate, and co-sponsor Senator Kisang for this wonderful county oversight and accountability 2024. So, Speaker, this is one of the ways we can continue to celebrate and entrench the legacy of Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, because he is the father of devolution. Even, Mr. Speaker, as we celebrate his legacy, he is proud that today we continue to entrench, broaden, and expand the role of devolution through putting in place the necessary legislative intervention, both legislation and policy, Mr. Speaker. So, Speaker, unfortunately, I was not there when the House convened upon his demise, Mr. Speaker. This is the only way, and I want to thank Senator Ledama Olekina. Mr. Speaker, can I be protected?
Senator Faki.
Mr. Speaker.
Let's listen to the senator in silence.
Yes,
Proceed.
This is the only way the legacy of Baba Raila Amolo Odinga can live on. Let us envisage, let us protect devolution, Mr. Speaker. I know the Constitution 2010 is to ensure things works in Garissa. Baba will only be remembered, Mr. Speaker, when water is available in Garissa town. Baba will only be remembered, Mr. Speaker, when there is drugs in Kapsabet County Referral Hospital. Baba will only be remembered, Mr. Speaker, when the roads are passable in Vihiga County, where the ODM deputy party leader comes from. Baba will only be happy, Mr. Speaker, when potato will be processed, the commercial crop from Nyandarua, Mr. Speaker. He will only be happy when we expand and develop, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I celebrate Senator Ledama for this wonderful legislation. I hope we can breathe life. Mr. Speaker, the issue of oversight in counties has been reduced to political competition. We need to give it life, Mr. Speaker. We need to give it life. Mr. Speaker, I'm mentioning devolution because Raila Amolo Odinga, Mr. Speaker, was the father of devolution. I know he fought for human rights. He fought for rule of law, Mr. Speaker. He fought against police brutality. There was a statement that was brought today, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I speak today, no rogue police officer has been arrested for the killings of more than 3 people in Kimwani area in Nandi County and scores that were injured, Mr. Speaker. Even during the day here in Kasarani, Mr. Speaker, and I hope the National Security Committee, I'm not seeing any member, should fast track, Mr. Speaker, and call out IPOA for not doing their job, Mr. Speaker. So I want to say we celebrate him for many things: devolution, rule of law, against police brutality, Mr. Speaker, against the abuses of human rights. These are the laws that can give opportunity, Mr. Speaker. He fought for the space, political space. That's why you find Senator Okongo Mugeni can speak and undermine the president wherever he is, because that space was fought by the president, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator
oversight.
Mugeni?
The senator for Nandi, my good friend and my junior in the profession, putting it on record, Mr. Speaker, that I'm a rogue senator. That's what you have said. That's what he has said. And he has used very unparliamentary words. I've not against President Ruto. The most I've done, Mr. Speaker, is to put him to account, Mr. Speaker, on the failed promises to the people of Kenya. And that's the space that Raila Odinga fought for us to have. The Speaker, what is wrong, Mr. Speaker, when I go to Nyamira and question that the president promised tea farmers bonus of 50 shillings, and they were given 12 shillings. What is unconstitutional? What is wrong about that, Mr. Speaker? When I tell my people that SHA is not working, and it is the president who should be telling us why it's not working, what is wrong with that, Mr. Speaker? Yeah, so, Mr. Speaker, you should not allow the senator for Nandi, Mr. Speaker, to create wrong impression about my work as senator for Nyamira, Mr. Speaker. As I'm speaking, Mr. Speaker, I can produce a list of patients who are in hospitals, who have gone to hospitals and SHA is not working. When we state those things here, we are stating facts, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, can you withdraw the word he has used and apologize?
Senator Mugeni, I don't think Senator Cherargei referred to you as a rogue senator. No.
President, we can print it. He said, I'm undermining the President of the Republic. You know, that borders on a criminal conduct on my part. He said, I'm undermining, Mr. Speaker. Can you substantiate and tell the country how I've undermined the President of the Republic, Mr. Speaker? That is not correct, Mr. Speaker. I've said the only things I've done on the ground is just to tell my people the reality, the truth on what is happening, Mr. Speaker. So you cannot tell the country that I'm undermining the president. What will my children think when a lawyer like Cherargei is telling the country that I'm undermining the president, Mr. Speaker? You cannot allow that to be on record. And he says I'm roguish. How, Mr. Speaker? On a day that we are celebrating the life of a great man like Raila Odinga, Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow that.
Senator Mugeni, I had not finished. The word under Senator Cherargei, did you use the word undermining? If you did, you need to withdraw and apologize.
Mr. Speaker, you have seen that the learned senior is confused, because I never used the word rogue. He was just by. No, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, can I be protected? You know, I heard him. I heard him when he was speaking. Can I be protected? Can I be protected?
Senator.
Can I substitute?
Senator Cherargei. Yeah.
Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Let me rephrase by saying he is misleading the House.
Withdraw,
yeah,
confused,
the word confused.
And withdraw undermining the president.
But, Mr. Speaker, if we draw English words, what will be speaking on the floor? Mr. Speaker, let me say the following. I have said I have used the word misleading. Misleading. I have withdrawn, Senator. I have withdrawn. I have withdrawn. You know what interesting thing, Mr. Speaker, is he was just walking behind you. He didn't listen. So I want to call upon colleagues to listen to what I'm saying. Just listen. Even the issue of T-bonuses, we are with you. But we are saying, I was just explaining, Mr. Speaker, and I'm happy, Mr. Speaker, you are an active listener. I was saying the space that people like Senator Omogeni Senior Council are enjoying is courtesy of Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. He expanded the space. That is why you can call out anybody at any given time, regardless of who they are, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, that is why I was arguing that the fact that devolution, Mr. Speaker, and I request that I should be heard in silence, that, Mr. Speaker, I don't know what is wrong with Senator Metu. He's a heckler like his party leader.
Senator Methu, let the senator be heard. Order. Order, Senator. Proceed, Cherargei.
The party leader, DCP, party leader, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I was saying even the issue of police brutality, it was unfortunate that we lost lives, Mr. Speaker. And you know this, you saw the Minister of Interior and the police running like headless chicken within Kasarani Stadium. And they had one pencil, Mr. Speaker, a trouser called pencil, Mr. Speaker. We are Kalenjins, we know how to dress. I saw a content creator saying we don't know how to dress. Some of us are good at dressers, like our Luo brothers, Mr. Speaker. We normally know how to dress smartly. Mr. Speaker, like Senator Moses Kajwang. Mr. Speaker, it is him who wears the pencil trousers and he was running around and he didn't prevent those accidents. No, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying there was a content creator that was accusing someone that they have worn pencil trousers. I'm saying we are smartly dressed. We know how to dress like our Luo brothers. It's only one person who was running around in the stadium who was wearing pencil trousers, Mr. Speaker, and it was very unfortunate. Mr. Speaker, the second point I want to drive home.
What is your point of order, Senator Joyce?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I've heard Cherargei lamenting every now and then about the dress code of the CS and how he was behaving during yeah, Honorable Speaker, and talking about it's true there was an incident that happened, but the security team was there. Honorable Speaker, is it in order to discuss the CS in the floor of this House without a substantive...
Senator Methu, order. Order, Senator Methu. You were not on a point of order. Senator Cherargei, could you please stop implying about individuals who are not in this House to defend themselves? Just proceed to make your submissions.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I remember you are ruling very well at Standing Order 103 on contents of speech. I didn't mention any name. I suspect the senator the distinguished nominated senator from Bomet might have been in Chebalungu Forest. And then he realized he just came out from nowhere and started saying that I was discussing an individual, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that is why I wanted to say the following on this bill.
What's your point of order, Senator Joyce?
Honorable Speaker, I think Cherargei is going astray in terms of articulating his issues. Honorable Speaker, it's known by even the paper class peoples in this country that the CS of security is who in this country. So you cannot lament, and even the TikTok, yeah, is known, it was referred to who. So is he not the Honorable Speaker? Even referring me that I've been in the bush, Honorable Speaker. Are we in the bush or we are in the Senate sitting, Honorable Speaker?
Senator Faki, what is your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I heard Senator Joyce quoting TikTok. Is TikTok an authentic reference in this House?
Yes, Senator Joyce.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Of course, you understand the difference between myself and the distinguished senator, and you know the forms of is asking the forms of communication that you can use. We have the TikTok, we have the Facebook, we have the WhatsApp. All those are forms. Unless he's not aware, he can come see me behind the tent after this session. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, proceed to make your submissions without referring or implying about anybody.
Mr. Speaker, I have been very careful as per Standing Order 103 and also 101 on contents of speech and also your ruling. I have not mentioned individuals. But they say the guilty are always afraid, Mr. Speaker. And I think some people want to do content creation of TikTok. Emphasize that Article 96 should be given. Seen where governors, Mr. Speaker, and I just make 2 comments. One is on the issue of public participation. Mr. Speaker, you remember where Kiambu finance bill was outlawed or ruled unconstitutional by the courts of law. I want to believe that is where Senator Ledama, Mr. Speaker, how can my time be expired? I've not even spoken. Mr. Speaker. No, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cherargei, you still have 5 more minutes.
But Mr. Speaker, there must be Jose Carmago somewhere who is eating my time. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, I wanted to make 2 pregnant points. One, Mr. Speaker, is the public participation has been made a decision. And I want to thank Senator Ledama because the courts have ruled that even any decisions that you make, and the senior counsel is here, that any decision that you make without the public input, that decision is not only legal but unconstitutional. So I agree there should be forums to discuss, Mr. Speaker. We were with my chair of PAC when we visited Busia County Referral Hospital. They don't have a working ambulance, just a working ambulance, let alone even drugs. And if you are to call a public meeting somewhere in Busia town, they would have told you we want an ambulance. But the governor decided to renovate a launch. You know what launch are used for, Mr. Speaker? Launches are used to take tea and mandazi, Mr. Speaker, and take the uji that former President Uhuru Kenyatta referred to. That is launch instead of getting an ambulance. So I agree that we must have a public participation, Mr. Speaker, to prioritize what they need to do, Mr. Speaker. That is what is important. So that when you go to Kobujai, when you go to Kaptumo, when you go to Kabiyet, when you go to Maraba in Tindre, Mr. Speaker, when you come to Chesume, Chemundu, Mr. Speaker, when you ask the residents of Nandi, what is your priority? As we talk today, the priority is roads. We have most pathetic roads in the Republic of Kenya in Nandi County. And mostly of those roads are managed by county government of Nandi, led by Sangmal administration, Mr. Speaker. These are some of the challenges that we hope when we have proper accountability and oversight will give value, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we are lucky. Just what about tea? We get cess from tea, we get cess from sugar again, Mr. Speaker. That can allow us to fix our roads, Mr. Speaker. We must agree that as a country, we need proper public participation so that it becomes more easier, Mr. Speaker, to fix most of these roads that are not passable. Mr. Speaker, you saw Kericho County Referral Hospital. It has been locked for some time, Mr. Speaker. No one is accessing that referral hospital. Was the public participation done in Kericho to ask the people, can you lock down an hospital, Mr. Speaker? These are some of the critical aspects we must do in public participation, Mr. Speaker. I know public participation has been misinterpreted. I have seen my distinguished colleagues, they go to public rallies and they are saying they are doing public participation. Whether to elect somebody for first term or second term, Mr. Speaker, it is good that they will get a law so that before they do those public participation they are calling in some of the villages and rallies, Mr. Speaker, they know what they are doing in, Mr. Speaker. And number 2, I agree that we should have a format. Say that today we can go to Nyandarua, we can go to Bomet, we can go to Bungoma, we can go to Kirinyaga and request the public participation notes on finance bill of 2025 in Kirinyaga or even Garissa, Mr. Speaker. If today you are in Garissa town, Mr. Speaker, and ask them, they will say we need water. Mr. Speaker, they will say we need water. That is what is important as we talk into the future, Mr. Speaker. Even on this issue of county oversight, we don't need to reduce it to political competition. Say that when you question, when I question my governor, you ask him why the road is not passed, they will say you are doing politics. When you ask if there are no drugs, you are not doing politics, Mr. Speaker. We must divorce public political competition of the day and proper accountability and oversight so that we can, when we went to Luanda, I think the issue of markets in Vihiga, when Senator Otsosi led us, Mr. Speaker, it was a genuine concern that they need a proper working market, they need public washrooms, Mr. Speaker, they need somewhere to use, Mr. Speaker, for efficiency, because they pay tax, Mr. Speaker. And we say in Kiswahili, kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. Which value, Senator Ledama? The power that counties have been given to levies, Mr. Speaker, which value are they going, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, if you can add me 2 minutes to take care of disruptions, just...
Add him 2 minutes.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, I don't know, Senator Metu has been, he has a Wamunyoros's disease, Mr. Speaker, and that is why I was just driving the point hot and dry by saying what Senator Ledama has done is to give effect. We need to agree even in this issue of Senate Oversight Fund. My own opinion, this is my last remark, Mr. Speaker, for the day. We need, instead, Senator Ledama, instead of creating Senate Oversight Fund, can we give Senate capacity and ability to do proper oversight? Like getting project managers, auditors, researchers, giving officers in every sub-county, getting them what we call social auditors, not only financial auditors, Mr. Speaker. Let us give the office of the senator capacity and ability. It's not about funds. So that when I go and visit Kapsengere Hospital somewhere in Terik Ward, or I visit Kobujoy, next to Governor Sang home, which I was told for some time, and I say, where is the public works report? I can go with my researcher and they can brief me. Mr. Speaker, in Kabiet, there is a creamery that has been constructed that has consumed more than 1 billion Kenya shillings. Yet we know ordinary factories will consume 250 million. And somebody who is constructing is a good friend of the Senator Majority Leader, might know the name. So at the end of the day, Mr. Speaker, we must, Nandi creameries, Mr. Speaker, we must give the capacity and ability for the office of the senator to do proper oversight, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate, because in the interest of my colleagues, and support this bill, and we shall vote it and ensure that the lower house agrees with us and can be sent to the act of law. Congratulations, Senator Ledama, and we wish you well.
Senator Mungatana is not here. Senator John Methu. My apologies, Methu. We're supposed to go on this side.
No, it's okay.
Senator Faki.
No problem.
Pole, my apologies. No, my apologies.
No, I can speak, then Faki will come.
Let Faki speak, then you'll speak.
Speaker.
You'll speak next. Take a seat.
Methu.
Senator Faki.
Methu kidogo angalia umri pia. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia mswada wa sheria ya oversight ambayo imeletwa bungeni na Seneta Ledama Olekina ambaye ni kiranja wetu katika upande wa walio wachache, Seneta Kisanga, Seneta wa Gatuzi la Igwe Marakwet. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza nimeona kwamba oversight ndio ile ambayo tunaweza kusema ni sehemu finyu katika maendeleo ya ugatuzi. Wazungu wanasema weakest link katika masuala ya ugatuzi. Kwa sababu mara nyingi hapa katika bunge la Senate huwa tunafanya postmortem, ama ukaguzi baada ya mambo yashaharibika. Nimesikia kilio cha mwenyekiti wa kamati ya uhasibu Senator Kajwang kusema kwamba mara nyingi wakija wale farasi huwa washatoka katika zizi, na sasa ibakia kutafuta na kulaumu ni nani ambaye alisababisha farasi wale kukimbia katika zizi. Mheshimiwa Spika, fedha ambayo tumeweza kupewa ya oversight imeweza kusaidia pakubwa kuleta mwamko katika magatuzi yetu. Katika kaunti ya Mombasa tuliweza kuzuru wodi zote 30 na tukafanya, lakini ukifika katika wote ambao umeweza kufanyika. Mheshimiwa Spika, hivi sasa tunavyosema ni kuwa hata County Assembly ya Mombasa imeweza pia shika nguvu na kuweza kuamka kuanza kuuliza maswali magumu ambayo serikali ya kaunti inapaswa kujibu. Kwa mfano, Mheshimiwa Spika, hivi majuzi kamati ya mazingira ya Assembly ya Mombasa wameweza kumuita waziri wa maji na mazingira kuweza kueleza mipango ambao wamefanya, hata wakatoa zabuni ya bilioni 17 kuhusiana na masuala ya takataka katika eneo la Mombasa. Mheshimiwa Spika, hiyo hapo nyuma ilikuwa haiwezekani kwa sababu mara nyingi wabunge wa bunge la county ni wanyonge kwa sababu wanategemea county government iweze kuwapa miradi, inategemea county government iweze kuwasaidia kwa mambo madogo. Hivyo basi kujaza ama kutoa maoni kuhusiana na yale yanayofanyika katika serikali zile za county inakuwa ni vigumu. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, sheria hii itaweza kutoa nafasi ya masuala ya ugatuzi ili kwa oversight ili kuhakikisha kwamba ugatuzi unafaulu katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia katika masuala ya kila nyanja, kwa mfano kamati yangu ya ardhi hivi sasa inaangalia masuala ya floka. Ukiangalia yale mambo ambayo yamezungumziwa katika mipango ya floka katika kaunti nyingi ni tofauti na yale ambayo yanafanyika katika kule mashinani. Utaambiwa kwamba kumefanyika, kama wajuzi Busia tuliambiwa kwamba kuna mradi wa Changara Water ulifanyika, lakini tukifika miaka 6 hivi sasa kutoka mradi huo usemekano umefanyika, hakuna chochote katika pale mashinani maeneo ya Changara ambao tuweza kusema zile pesa zilizotarajiwa kutumika zimeweza kutumika kuhakikisha kwamba wananchi wa eneo lile wanapata maji. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, lazima masuala ya oversight, sisi kama maseneta tuwe proactive, lazima tuwe mashinani kuweza kuangalia ni mambo gani ambayo yanafanyika, kwa sababu mengine yanafanyika ni dhulma kwa wananchi wetu katika maeneo yale. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukiangalia masuala ya uajiri, juzi Mombasa imeajiri wafanyakazi 628, lakini tulipowauliza ni wangapi kati ya wale ambao wameajiriwa ni walemavu, kulikuwa hakuna jawabu lolote lililotokea, Mheshimiwa Spika. Na vile vile utapata kwamba mara nyingi magatuzi zetu hizi serikali za county zinaongeza makadirio yao ya ile on source revenue. Zile pesa ambazo wanaokota katika maeneo yao wanaziongeza. Kwa mfano kama mwaka huu wamekusanya bilioni 2, ili hatujui wale wafanyakazi wanafanya nini. Hata waweze kuwa wanachukua nusu ya mapato kwenda kwa mishahara. Kwa hivyo utapata Mheshimiwa Spika kwamba wanaongeza makadirio yao ya mapato ili waweze kuongeza kuajiri watu, na watu wale wengine ndio wanatumika kubeba majukwaa, kubeba viti, kubeba mkoba wa gavana na mengineo kama hayo. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiingilia oversight na tuangalie kisawasawa vile kaunti zetu zinavyofanya kazi, Mheshimiwa Spika, tutaweza kupata manufaa mengi ya ugatuzi. Zile pesa ambazo zinatumika na kufujwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, zinaweza kutumika kununua madawa katika mahospitali na zahanati zetu, yanaweza kutumika kuajiri madaktari, inaweza kutumika kutoa vifaa vya kisasa na kupunguza gharama ya maisha katika gatuzi zetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia unyonge ambao uko katika county assembly zetu, inamaanisha kwamba ipo haja sisi kama Senate kuweza kusimama zaidi ili kuona kwamba kazi zinafanyika katika kaunti zile. Mheshimiwa Spika, juzi tulipokuwa Busia tulipata fursa ya kuangalia madeni ya kaunti ya Busia. Na jambo la kusikitisha Mheshimiwa Spika ni kwamba katika assembly ya Busia walikuwa wadaiwa shilingi milioni 628 kufikia tarehe 30 mwezi Juni mwaka huu. Hesabu hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika ni karibu ni 80% ya yale mapato yao ambao wanatakana kupata kila mwaka. Sasa tuangalie Mheshimiwa Spika, pesa hizi zitaweza kulipwa vipi? Nitachukua miaka mingapi kuweza kukamilika kule, kwa sababu wanachopata hakizidi milioni 800, lakini madeni ni milioni 628. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni lazima tuweze kuongeza juhudi zetu katika masuala ya ugatuzi. Jambo la pili Mheshimiwa Spika ni kwamba mambo ya kuhusisha umma. Nimesikitishwa na malalamiko ya kiongozi wa wengi kwamba mahakama zinaingilia kazi ya bunge. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, mahakama zina haki ya kuamua sheria kulingana na katiba. Iwapo kuna ushahidi kwamba bunge la kitaifa liliweza kufanya ushirikishi wa umma, waweza kupeleka mahakamani na mahakama itaweza kuondoa amri zozote ambazo zimeweza kutolewa ambazo kwa sasa zinazuia sheria ile kutumika. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani kwamba sheria imepitishwa na sheria ile basi iwe haiwezi kukosolewa kwa njia yoyote. Tunajua saa nyingine bunge linaweza kupitisha sheria, wengine wakasema sisi hatujui, kama juzi tuliona katika vyombo vya habari baadhi ya wabunge wakisema kwamba sisi hatukuona sheria hiyo. Kama Mheshimiwa Kisali yule women rep wa Kitui alisema kwamba hakuona hiyo sheria katika bunge la kitaifa ikipelekwa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ni mambo ambayo yanaweza kutendeka, ndio maana mahakama ziko pale kuweza kuona kwamba zinaamua haki baina ya taasisi za serikali na vile vile baina ya wananchi kwa wananchi wapo wana mizozo yao wenyewe ya kibiashara ama ya kifamilia. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, hii sheria ya ushirikishi umma ni muhimu sana katika nini yetu, kwa sababu mambo mengi sasa ni katiba inasema kwamba chochote kitakachofanyika, sheria yoyote ambayo itapitishwa lazima ipitie ushirikishi wa umma. Kwa hivyo lazima tuwe na sheria ambayo inaweza kutoa mwongozo kuhusiana na yale ambayo yanatakana kufanyika katika ushirikishi wa umma. Mahakama hivi juzi zimeweza kusema kwamba chochote kitakachofanyika katika ushirikishi wa umma kinaweza kutosheleza. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, ipo haja ya kuwa na sheria ya kimsingi, kwa sababu wakati kwa mfano tunazungumzia masuala ya uvuvi, masuala ya uvuvi, sheria inahusiana na masuala ya uvuvi kule Migori. Hatuwezi kuchukua sheria ile tuwapelekee wanaokuza mgokaa Embu ili waulizwe kama sheria ile itawaathiri kivipi. Ni lazima wale ambao wanashirikishwa kupitisha kuhusiana na sheria ile, wale ambao wanapitishwa lazima ni watu ambao wale tunaweza kuita stakeholders, wale ambao wanadau, washikadau katika sekta ile, ili kuonekana kwamba ile sheria inaangalia kikamilifu yale masuala ambayo inatakana kuangalia kutokana na ushirikishi wa washikadau. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa kumalizia, nichukue fursa hii kwamba ugatuzi utaweza kufanya kazi ikiwa kutakuwa na uwajibikaji na masuala ya accountability. Bila hivyo Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa kila mwaka fedha zinakwenda katika magatuzi yetu, fedha zile zinaishia mifukoni mwa magavana na mawaziri na matapeli wengine ambao wanafanya kazi katika kaunti zile. Mheshimiwa Spika, hiyo ni masikitiko na itakuwa ni kinyume cha ndoto ya mwenda zake Raila Amolo Odinga ambaye yeye ndiye alikuwa baba wa ugatuzi katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Senator Methu.
Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. You know, Mr. Speaker, when we last had, or the last session that we had, when we had our special sitting, the session ended. I don't want to use the word acrimony, but I'm struggling to get a better word to use. But I mean, the situation escalated quite quickly, so we were not able to pass our condolences. And if you allow me, in a minute, I want to pass my condolences to the family of the Honorable Raila Odinga, his wife, the children, our colleague Senator Oburu, who is now the new party leader of ODM. Mr. Speaker, sir, the departed Prime Minister is a man who lived one of the most successful political lives any politician would think about. He worked with virtually every regime. They all came and left him. He worked with President Moi, came and left him. And there are many things that we can learn from him, but I think the hallmark of what I would learn as a young leader from the Honorable Raila Odinga is being brave, choosing the path of justice, even when it is very lonely sometimes. You do not have, and it was said in a book that I read called, I think, Half a Day, there's I don't remember really the title, but there's a man quest for justice. So therefore, one of the most brave things that we can actually remember from the departed leader, Yona Raila Odinga, is that when he voluntarily chose a very difficult thing, and it has not happened again. He chose to resign, go back, get another party, and go back to his people, and again in Langata in 1994. That is not a feat that has been, or that is not broken by anybody. We may act brave, we may act courageous, but we have never gotten to that level. He is one consummate politician who has been extremely successful, powerful when he's in government, and powerful when he's not in government. He was just as powerful when he was in government as when he was not. He was as powerful when he was prime minister, and when he was leader of opposition, when he was in the handshake, and when he was in the broad-based. I may not have agreed with him when he moved to work with President William Ruto, but he always pursued what he believed in his heart was a correct thing, and I think it's a lesson that all of us should be able to carry home. I want to congratulate Senator Ledama, and by the way, in the spirit of honoring and remembering the ripe times of our departed Prime Minister, one thing that we must also acknowledge and recognize is the kind of mentorship that he offered to young leaders. Mr. Speaker, Senator Ledama is fairly a very young senator, not of course as young as I am, but he's fairly a young senator, and has been given quite a huge role on the parliamentary responsibility, being the minority whip. The same case to Senator Sifuna, who is the deputy minority whip and the secretary general of the party. The same case to Senator Eddy, who is my age mate and chairman of a committee. And many other. Senator Osotsi is fairly a young person and is the deputy party leader. He has been able, and he has been seen, when we speak about the leaders of tomorrow, he actually was in the forefront in preparing the leaders of tomorrow. You don't just speak about leaders of tomorrow and you are doing nothing about it. There are many other people who do not want to give young people opportunities to grow and to exercise the talents and leadership capacities and potentials that they have. I also want to congratulate Senator Ledama for this bill, which in my opinion, Mr. Speaker, or Madam Speaker, sorry, wants to operationalize Article 96 of our Constitution. Mr. Speaker, in the quest for hunting for resources, especially to our counties, we hunt hand in hand, especially with the governors. If you remember, Mr. Speaker, and I can see, I think Senator Ledama was one of those who sat in the mediation committee, look at the kind of canvassing, the kind of support, the kind of camaraderie that we got from the Council of Governors. Mr. Speaker, or Madam Speaker, sorry, I keep forgetting, because there was a Mr. Speaker before you, so please forgive me. If you see the kind of support that we got from the Council of Governors, it is the same support that we would require and would not even request. Is the same kind of support that we would expect when we are overseeing how this money has been spent, Mr. Speaker. But once this money has gone and budgeted, Mr. Speaker, that now becomes the beginning of the sore part of our relationships with the Council of Governors and the County Executive, Mr. Speaker. I'm happy that I'm seeing Senator Osotsi here. You remember during the formula debate that we had here, there is something that we passed that has not been there on the affirmative fund that was felt, Mr. Speaker, required incentives so that they can grow as much as the others, Mr. Speaker. His county, Vihiga, qualified, my own county, Nyandaro, qualified, and 9 other counties, Mr. Speaker, qualified. What we would have expected, and I know this is what Senator Osotsi would have expected, is that this extra 364 million that we got for the counties, Mr. Speaker, would have been budgeted as special budget so that Vihiga County, Mr. Speaker, can be able to show that over and above what we had budgeted, because they have already done their budget estimates, Mr. Speaker, over and above what they had budgeted for that financial year, for the County of Nyandaro, over and above what they had budgeted in their budget, Mr. Speaker, this is the extra that we have gotten from the Senate, 364 million, and this is how we shall use it, not amalgamating it in the main budget. Mr. Speaker, sadly, all that money was put together with the entire money that came from the equitable share, the money that they got from the own source, and so, Mr. Speaker, you are not able to point, where is this affirmative? Where is this money that we passed? How would you tell Senator Osotsi that you brought money to the people of Vihiga, and there's nothing that you can point, specific thing that you can point, that out of the money, and Senator Mwaruma, because we were together with you, out of the money that we passed in this Senate, Madam Speaker, we got you an extra. So your roads will be done because you bought machineries. So your seeds will be improved because we got you improved seeds. Your new hospital will get a new wing. These ECD centers who are the ones that we got out of this extra money. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker. So therefore, what this bill seeks to cure, in my opinion, is this thing that governors look at us with suspicious eyes. They feel that we are witch hunting them when we want to ask them questions. Mr. Speaker, once you have subjected yourself, and you know there are many elective positions, Mr. Speaker. You can choose to be president, you can choose to be governor, you can choose to be senator, you can choose to be... Many of the people who are here, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, actually qualify for all the positions. But you have chosen the side of being to oversight. If you choose to go to become a governor, then you must be ready. You must be ready to be accountable. And this is a constitutional provision. The same constitution that has made you governor is the same constitutional Article 96 that tells you that you are senator and the Senate will pay oversight on the money that we give you. There's no way that you are very welcoming when we are giving you money. But when we want to ask you how you have spent this money, you don't want. And there are two things that I want to first speak about that I have seen in the bill that are actually very good. Number one is Article 17, Part 2C, facilitating access to information held by county government. Madam Speaker, you actually know that in the case of Busia, you saw it. The senator for Busia, the Honorable Andrew Okia Omtata, had to actually go to court so that the courts can grant from the county, Madam Speaker. What a sad state. If a senator cannot get these documents, who can? And access to information is a requirement by law. There is no private documents that are kept in any government offices, Mr. Speaker. You don't keep your ID there, you don't keep your title deed there, you don't keep your bank statements there, you don't keep your medical records there. Whatever is in that particular office is public records, and they should be readily available to members of public and to senators as when and if they are required, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, I allowed the Senator Olekina, because of this particular provision, that there should be facilitation of access to information to all, not to just the senator. If an MCA wants information about a project that happened in such and such a place, that information should be able to be provided. How this project, first, is it in the CIDP? Was it in the annual development plan? If it was there then, was it in the budget? If it was in the budget, well, how was it procured? If it was procured properly, when were the services rendered? If the services were rendered and the certificates have been issued, when was it paid? If it has not been paid, where does it feature in the books of the county? If it was paid, these are the documents that were required, and it was paid in such and such a date. Madam Speaker, that information is not private information. Nobody should refuse with that kind of information. That is information that should be readily available for everybody. Number two, it is in the same article, 17D, engage communities and interest groups on the formulation of plans for the economic development of the county. Madam Speaker, for the economic development of a county, there are two guiding documents that are provided for in law. The long-term plan is the County Integrated Development Plan, CIDP. It is in this CIDP that people say that in these 5 years that you have been given as governor, we expect you to do this, we expect you to do this, we expect you to do this, and over and above what they have asked that it should be done, they also give priority. In terms of priorities, this is, would want you to start with health, and on the matters of health, we would want you to upgrade JM Karaoke Hospital. We would want you to deal with education. We would want you to deal with agriculture and all this, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, communities must get a voice in matters CIDP. The second document, Madam Speaker, which is now the short-term document, is the annual development plan. Budgets must be derived from the annual development plan. This kind of governance, this habit of governance, Madam Speaker, changing programs haphazardly. Today, you are speaking about buying, I don't know, Senator Olekina, whether you help me. There is, oh yeah, I remember now. There is something that they brought in Nyandarua, I think in the first year of our governor. Now he was saying so that we increase in milk production, now we are giving farmers super napier. Super napier, so that now the milk production will go so high. They put it in the budget the first year, I think 12.5 million, then another in the supplementary, another 12.5 million. Just before that program kicks off, Madam Speaker, the next year, the governor told us now we are not dealing with super napier again, now we are dealing with APO. We now will stop doing or giving super napier, we will now start giving you APOs. And I think the budget was prepared, some people are given APOs. Just before farmers in Nyandarua start acclimatizing on how we shall do apple farming, we are now told I think now the current program is coffee growing in Nyandarua. Madam Speaker, how these have been derived from the Rancho Development Plan, we must, Madam Speaker, stop this habit of governors. Senator Mwaruma, and told you that this is working in my county, you want to rush it and customize it in your county. The factors that are there in Taita Taveta are not the same. The challenges of Narok are not the challenges of Nyandarua. The challenges of Narok are issues to do with livestock. If I want to teach him on cabbages farming, maybe it does not do as better as it does in Nyandarua County, Madam Speaker. So therefore, I really support this particular provision in law. And number F is monitor the spending patterns of public entities within the county. This is also very, very important. That this bill seeks to give the senator the powers to monitor the spending patterns, Madam. We try and cure this issue that, and I have been a member of the Public Accounts Committee. I think I was there for 2.5 years, or rather, I think, it was 2.5 years, Madam Speaker. And the problem that we have, I'm wondering whether 10 minutes is, I think I speak either very slowly or I speak very fast, so I don't notice when my time goes. Or I think the words that Mogera uses when I'm speaking is a bit different. But I want to be very, very quick, Madam Speaker. So that we try and cure this problem of the Public Accounts Committee being a committee of morticians, that you only deal with matters once they have already happened. This provision, Madam Speaker, is monitor spending patterns. This one is meant to monitor. As things are happening, you're able to monitor. You have a view of what is happening in Nyamira. You have a view of such and such a project was there in the budget. How far is it? Has it been procured? Has the services started been happening? Madam Speaker, you know, some projects are long-term. So you are given a 2-year contract. Madam Speaker, when the contract has not been spent, you are not able to raise questions, even at the Public Accounts Committee level, Madam Speaker. But now tell me, if you are supposed to do this project in 2 years, and 1 year, 6 months you have not started, how will you start in the last 6 months? And you're not supposed to ask a question because the contract is alive. I think this is what Senator Olekina wanted to cure when he brought this particular bill. I've spoken about this. This is 18.6. The County Executive Committee member shall avail, and the use of the word shall is very critical, shall avail the senator with pertinent information. It's not a request. If I want information on anything, this is a public entity, on anything, any project, any program, any government program, including, Madam Speaker, you know, we have had a challenge, even getting to know the prayer breakfast of the national prayer breakfast, how much was spent by either Parliament, the national government. Nobody knows how much was spent. Prayer breakfast, you're even hiding money that you are using to pray. Just talking to God, you don't want to know, you don't want us to know how much you spent when you wanted to speak to God. I mean, Madam Speaker, these are things that should be so straightforward. And I think they should, and I think 19 also speaks about these documents being availed to the members of public. This is also something else that I was able to pick. The clerk of the Senate may provide such logistical support as necessary. Maybe I would want you to move an amendment, Senator Olekina, so that you don't leave it as a prerogative of the clerk of the Senate to either offer or not. Because when you say that may offer, he may choose not to. He may start with Kiambu. Or Wajir is so far, and let us, it should be the clerk of the Senate shall provide. It should be his obligation to support senators as they carry out their oversight role. Maybe finally, Senator Orekina, as we think about the miscellaneous provisions that are here, I have seen that there are regulations that will be moved by the county executive committee member. And one of them, notwithstanding the generality of subsection 1, the CEC member may make regulations on the processes related to the management and implementation of the project. It is here that I would want us to be a bit careful, so that they also don't process regulations that will claw back the gains that we have gotten, because they may put things in the regulations that do not make it easy for us to know the management and the processes in the implementation of projects. In fact, this is very critical, Senator Orekina, because these regulations are speaking about implementation. This is where the crust of this matter would be cured. If we want to play very, very active oversight, it should be in the implementation of projects. So therefore, it should be an open book on how we can be able to see, we can be able to view implementation of projects. It should not be, if a CC now, for example, Senator Orekina, as it has been provided here, what if a CC now says in the regulation that this information will only be provided after the completion certificate of that project has been issued? Then we shall have lost the
30 seconds. 30 seconds. You're actually spending your 30 seconds.
Just 1 minute. I know Senator Murango wants to also speak a lot of wisdom, Madam Speaker. These miscellaneous provisions, Madam Speaker, is something that we must look, so that we don't claw back on all the gains that have been made in this particular bill, so that we don't also donate so much powers again to the CEC after we have won freedom, then we won't curtail ourselves with this issue on regulations. I want to stop it at that. Thank you.
Senator Professor Kamara.
I'm not getting the microphone. Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I've gone through this bill. Unfortunately, I don't support it in the format it's in. I do not support it, Madam Speaker, because it is completely changing the spirit of Article 96 of the Constitution. What this bill has done, it is confessing that it is following, it's unpacking Article 96. But when you go to Article 96, it talks of the role of the Senate. This bill is talking about the role of an elected senator. We need to be very clear what it is we are looking for. Is this bill supposed to take care of the oversight fund that has already come into this House, which we had said we need to deal with, or it is dealing with oversight? So my beginning point is the title of the bill. Is this county oversight? I don't know how county oversight and accountability comes in first to begin with, because if it is county oversight, we need to address county oversight. Accountability is a different animal. Accountability should be part of what we are doing. So when we talk of, and I really appreciate the details that the two members have brought in, but I want them to think through. If we are talking about county oversight, let's go to the Constitution and look at the role that was given to this House and the role that was given to the MCS. Because I see this bill bringing a potential conflict between. If you look at what the role of Senate in Article 96 says, it says the Senate will represent counties and serve to protect interests. The Senate will participate in lawmaking. It will determine the allocation of national revenue. the Senate will participate in oversight. The Senate. But when we have gone to this bill, we have broken it into the individual senators. In fact, I was looking at this if you look at Article 16 of the proposal that we have been given on oversight, Article 1 says that the Senate shall pass on to Article 96 of the Constitution, exercise oversight. But Senator Olekina, when you go to sub-Article 2, you go to each senator shall exercise power of oversight over their respective counties, which means each elected senator. So let's come out. If it is each elected senator, let's call it each elected senator, so that we now look for the animal that will take care of the other senators who are not elected. I've been elected, I'm nominated, and I'm talking from a neutral ground. That you cannot talk of oversight being done by a senator. The reason, and we have had this, I wish the senator of Samburu was here, because we had a very rough time in our committee today when the governor of Samburu came. And that is when I saw oversight must be done according to this constitution. But to have Senator Ledama to go to Narok alone, to have the senator of Samburu to go to Samburu alone, he will not succeed. That is when you hear of goons fighting between. Exercise the power of oversight. We have been exercising it. We didn't need a bill to do this. It is part of what we are doing. But what does the Constitution confer? The Constitution confers the power of oversight to the House. And then the House has committees. If you look at the chapter that deals with committees, it says this House shall operate through committees. And I'm asking my dear brother Olekina, committees vis-a-vis an individual person, and find it wise as he looks at the amendments we wish to introduce, give you better service than an individual. I say this because I was elected, Madam Speaker. When I was elected, I was able to oversight my governor through the committees of this House, not through an individual, but information. I got a lot of information. My Senate office was getting information from the CECs and whatever. I never interacted with the CEC. Why should I interact with the CEC? My own staff, who are equal to the CEC, will interact with the CEC. And once they have interacted, they bring information to my office. They tell me this is the area that is weak. I ask a question in this House. I did 2 petitions, which were very successful. The first petition blocked the governor from buying a building that the public said was actually had a figure that was higher than the figure. This House did a wonderful job for me because it was the committee that went in, analyzed, went through the projects. I'm saying this to save ourselves because I think the problem is that we might actually put ourselves, just because we are thinking about this little money of oversight, we might say to protect the elected and leave the nominated. We need to ask ourselves, is that what we want to do? Number 2, if you look at that, there shall be openness and accountability over the county budget oversight process. Why should you even go beyond that? Why do you want to be accountable to a fund that you are using directly? It is an expense to send your people to go and collect data. Why are we looking like we don't want to be suspected? We again think it is good to reread and see how we can do. We'll be introducing our own amendments to take care of that. Then Article 17 has concentrated on this senator. A senator may facilitate public participation. Let's go to the issue of public participation. My brother Olekina, public participation is going on currently. Before the is published every 5 years, massive public participation takes place. Even as nominated, I went to 3 wards to know if actually we are doing the right thing and giving people what they want. That is public participation number 1. According to the Constitution, you must have a CIDP, and once you have had your CIDP, you must have annual plans. When the annual plan, an annual plan is an extract for that year, and hopefully the county has 5 annual plans, which they don't declare, they declare annual what they are going to do. And once they have declared annually what they are going to do in the year, that is what they will follow. But are we going to have a diversion from the annual? Because that is what will protect individual conflicts between a senator and a governor. Now, if you go further, Article 15, I know I'm going zigzag, I'm coming backwards. The officers shall prepare an annual report on the status of public finances in the respective county set out with the following information. Currently, the Comptroller of Budget does that, not annual, but monthly. I used to get, as a senator, monthly reports on my county, and my senator was here. I wanted to know whether he's still receiving that, because we used to receive, but the other senators must be receiving. If we are receiving that from the Comptroller of Budget, is this bill not going to be in conflict with the role of the Comptroller of Budget? Because the role of the Comptroller of Budget is to monitor. So if we allocate ourselves the role of monitoring, the way the budget flow will be, what will the role of the Comptroller of Budget? Again, let's read the Comptroller of Budget's role before we even look at the role of the Auditor General. Because I looked at some of the clauses and I think we might step on the toes of the Auditor General. So Madam Speaker, with all due respect to my colleagues that are proposed, I like the oversight. We must protect it through a law. We must have a bill. But I want to persuade Senator Olegina that let's relook at this in relation to what is existing and the roles that we cannot change. But more than anything, please let us not take the role of the Senate to individual senators. Let the Senate committee, I looked, unless I did not see, I was looking for a mention of the Senate committee in this bill. Because the Constitution has not talked about the senator. It had officers to the Senate itself. So there is no mention, unless it is in an article that I have not seen. Why would we not have a mention of the committees of this House? The committees of this House are very powerful. They have been given the power even to arrest. We are told that they are given the powers of the High Court. If they have the powers of the High Court, will an individual senator have the powers of the High Court? I ask that loudly, Madam Speaker. Will the individual, or we are trying to, or we'll expose ourselves? I'm looking for a way in which we are not exposing individuals, but we are dealing with what the Constitution gave the Senate as an institution. So, Senator Olekina, I like the intention of the bill. But as much as I like the intention of the bill, I would really like to say, let's avoid conflict with MCS, let's avoid conflict with anybody, even the executive, let's avoid conflict with the Comptroller of Budget, let us avoid conflict with the Auditor General. Let's remove the conflicts and let's allow ourselves to run as a Senate that must do oversight as per the Constitution, Article 96, which this bill is trying to unpack. I was going to be brief because there are a few things that I wish could be corrected beforehand, but I'll prepare my articles because I was a little also confused when it came to the annual infrastructural document, but I want to understand that one more because I don't want to touch on anything that I have not fully understood. With those remarks, Madam Speaker, I have reservations, and I would like my reservations to be addressed before I support this bill. Thank you.
Senator Morango.
Asante sana Mstahiki Spika kwa kunipatia nafasi niweze kuchangia katika mswada ambao unahusu uangalizi na uwajibikaji kwenye gatuzi zetu. Mstahiki Spika, kwanza ningetaka kumpa kongole Senator Orekina wakiwa na Senator Kisang kwa kuzamia katika jambo hili na kwa weledi mkubwa na tajriba kutupatia mswada uliokuwa mbele yetu. Nadhania Mstahiki Spika ni kwa sababu wameona dhoruba na hali ya bahari, wakaamua kushona jarife na kutengeneza jahazi ili tuweze kufika kilindini. Kwa sababu kwa muda, Mstahiki Spika, katika mambo ya ushiriki wa umma katika gatuzi zetu imekuwa tu ni eka za mbunwasi, lakini imekuwa ifanyiki vilivyo. Ukiangalia sana sana, kwa sababu hapo awali nimekuwa mwakilishi wandi ya Kerugoya, ni kwamba wakilishi wandi wanafanya ushiriki wa umma kivyao, alafu gavana anafanya ushiriki wa umma kivyake. Na katika hali zote zile fedha za umma huwa zinatumika. Lakini gavana pia huwa anachukua maoni ambayo yeye mwenyewe amesirikisha umma ndio anatumia kutengeneza bajeti. Juzi nadhani Mstahiki Spika uliona aibu iliyokuweko pale kwetu Kirinyaga, akina mama wakipigishwa vichwa ngomba na mapinde kukiwa na DJ, na kukija uhasibu utakuja kupata kwamba ile fedha ilitumika katika yale mambo yalikuwa yanafanywa pale, itakuwa na nafasi kuonyeshana ya kwamba kulikuwa na ushiriki wa umma na haukuwa ni ushiriki wa umma. Mstahiki Spika, ukiangalia sana kumekuwa na tatizo kwamba unapata barabara ambayo imetengenezwa na kera pia imeratibiwa kutengenezwa pia na county, na unapata ya kwamba fedha zimelipwa kwamba county ndio imeweza kutengeneza ile barabara, lakini imetengenezwa na serikali kuu. Lakini Mstahiki Spika, kwa sababu nyumba inajulikana na mwenyeji sio mgeni, ili tuweze kungamua mbivu na mbichi inabidi tuweze kupewa nafasi ya pia kutoa maoni yetu na kukaa katika ushiriki ambao unafanyika ili tuweze kuelewa zaidi nini inaendelea. Kwa sababu ilivyo sahihi, ukiniambia seneta niende nikaombe ruhusa mwakilishi wandi kutoka wandi fulani ili niweze kukaa kutathmini yanayoendelea, sidhani itakuwa naweza kutoshea katika ile nafasi. Na kama ni gavana ya kuangalia wanaofanya, kwa sababu wakati wanayofanya hiyo maneno ya ushiriki ya umma ambao inakuanga ni gushi, hawatakangi pia kujulikana. Inafaa Mstahiki Spika, nitapeana mfano wa seremara ambaye sana sana huwa anatumia misumari kushikanisha mbao. Utapata kwamba yule msumari ulio wima ndio ugongwa sana na nyundo. Ule msumari ambao uko kombo huwa unaachwa. Na hivyo ndio hivyo ilivyo siku ya leo, kwamba seneta ambaye anafaa kufanya uangalizi wakati anaposema jambo kuhusu venye ushiriki wao unafanyika siku ya leo, wendo unagongwa sana, lakini walio kombo mangavana wanaachwa. Nadhani kama kungekuwa na haki, jera nyingi zingekuwa zimejaa wale mangavana, lakini sio raia maskini. Mstahiki Spika, kuna msemo wa Kiswahili unasema kwamba ukiona maharagwe yameiva ujue makaa yameteketea. Mstahiki Spika, wakati unaona dhoruba na kelele nyingi katika kaunti wakati tunauliza maswali, hiyo ni dalili ya kwamba maharagwe yameiva na makaa yameteketea. Na makaa yenyewe ni fedha za umma. Kwa sababu fedha za umma lazima kuwe na zinafanywa uangalizi. Lazima watu wajibike wakati wanatumia fedha za umma. Na kwa hivyo njia mojawapo ya kupata majibu ya fedha zinazotumika, kwanza ni kuhusisha wananchi waseme wanataka nini. Wakati wakisema wanataka nini, bajeti inayotumika ikitumika tuweze pia kuona ni nini imefanya. Kwa sasa maseneta wameachiwa kazi ya kama kupasua maiti. Na unajua mpasua maiti sio daktari. Kwa hivyo tunapofikiwa na zile ripoti kutoka kwa mkuu wa uhasibu. Tunayoweza kufanya ni tuseme ni nini ilisababisha kifo cha ambacho kinatokea kwa fedha za umma. Lakini hatuwezi sema tuwezi kutimbu magonjwa ambayo yameua imeua zile fedha ambazo tunapatia county. Kwa hivyo ikiwepo kuna nafasi ya sisi kuwa pale kuhakikisha kwamba pia tunahusika, tutaweza kurekebisha mambo zingine kabla mambo hayajaweza kuharibika zaidi. Mr. Speaker, wakati tulikuwa tunafanya ushiriki wa umma kama wakilishi wadi pale nilipokuwa kiongozi wengi katika gatuzi la Kirinyaga, kulikuwa na tatizo moja ambalo lilikuwa linatokezea. Ni kwamba bajeti inayotoka kwa gavana ndio inapelekwa kushirikishwa kwa umma. Lakini sio kusema wameulizwa kwanza kwa mujibu wa sheria, ili wakuje waulizwe maswali waseme waulizwe kwanza alafu ndio gavana hakuja na majibu. Inaanza kwamba bajeti inatengenezwa na gavana. Kuna mwingine alinunua mavi ya mbuzi akasema ni mbolea na akapeana, na ukienda kwa uhasibu uwezi tena ukaenda ukahesabu chembe ya mavi ya mbuzi ili uweze kuweza kufanya gavana awajibike. Kwa hivyo inakuwa ni kusudia kwamba ile mambo inafanywa kusudi, kwa sababu gavana anajua kwamba uwezi enda pale tena ukaweza kufanya awajibike katika maneno ambayo amefanya. Lakini kwa mujibu wa sheria inafaa wananchi waseme wanataka nini, gavana aende atengeneze kupitia waziri wake wa county wa fedha aweze kutengeneza, kupiga makofi na kuimba nyimbo ambazo hazina kiitikio. Unakuja kupata kwamba Mr. Speaker, gavana akisema anajenga uwanja ya helikopta kutua, wanapiga makofi tu. Lakini wale wananchi ambao wanafaa kuwa wanasema nini wanataka, wale hawana maji, hawana dawa hospitalini, hawana barabara, hawana la kusema. Kwa sababu gani? Kwa sababu majukumu yote ya kushirikisha umma katika mchakato mzima kutengeneza bajeti umeachiwa gavana. Hiyo ndio sababu kubwa. Na kwa hivyo gavana hufanya mambo ambazo anajua ni rahisi kufanya kuliko kufanya mambo ambayo inatakikana kufanya. Mr. Speaker, nimetoka kaunti ambayo zaidi ya 99.9% ni wakulima. Lakini bajeti inaoenda katika kustawisha kilimo unapata ni duni, hata haijafika 5%. Sasa unakuja unajiuliza, ni akina nani hawa wanasema kwamba kujengwe magorofa? Ni akina nani hao wamesema kwamba wanataka kwenda barabarani kupiga vichwa ngomba na mapinde kuliko kusema wanataka vitu ambazo unaona waziwazi inafaa kufanywa. Kwa hivyo mimi ningesema kwamba chambilecho wahenga akili ni nywele, kwamba Senator Olekina na Kisang wamefanya kazi nzuri kukuja na mswada ambao uko mbele yetu siku ya leo. Ningesema kwamba tuunge mkono bila kuangalia mambo mengi sana kando kando, kwa sababu Mr. Speaker, ukiniuliza mambo ambayo inaendelea leo Kirinyaga ni rahisi sana kukuelezea kama mkazi sahihi. Nikiwa pale mimi ndo nafaa kutengeneza ripoti ambayo nitaleta katika bunge la Seneti ili iweze kufikia kamati tofauti ili waweze kujadili, kwa sababu katika sheria mswada tulio nao hapa hakuna mahali ambao unasema kwamba ripoti itakayotoka kwenye gatuzi zetu isifike kwa kamati zetu za Seneti. Kwa hivyo Mr. Speaker, mimi naunga mkono na niseme ya kwamba sheria tulio nayo hapa iweze kufanyishwa kazi, na kama kuna mabadiliko kidogo iweze kufanywa, kwa sababu pia wakati nilikuwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya ukulima tulikuwa pia tunafanya ushiriki wa umma, na ni vizuri niseme hivi kwa sababu najua wenzangu pia wamepatana na hili. Lakini jambo moja inafanya kamati pia za mbunge kuogopa sana kwenda kufanya ushiriki wa umma ni kwa sababu unapoenda akukuangi na utaratibu wote kuhakikisha ya kwamba wale ambao unaowakuta wako na maji ya kunywa ama wameangaliwa vilivyo. Kwa hivyo maseneta wengi, na ningeomba kama Senator Mbua angekuwa hapa kwa sababu tulienda naye Kitui na akaona hii kwamba unarudi mfukoni kuhakikisha ya kwamba umeangalia na kutatua maneno ambayo unapata wakati unazunguka ukifanya ushiriki kwa umma. Kwa hivyo hayo mengi na machache, kwa sababu sitaki kumaliza wakati wenzangu wanataka kuongea, naunga mkono na tuunge mkono hii sheria. Asante sana Mr. Speaker.
Senator for Vihiga, Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, from the onset, let me say that I want to congratulate the distinguished Senator for Narok for this very important bill. I know there are one or two issues that needs to be improved from the presentation by Senator Kamar and others, which the owner of this bill will try and improve. But all in all, this is a very necessary and important bill that we should all support. Madam Speaker, let me start by saying the matter of oversight in this country is a matter that probably should become a national debate, because we have had, rightly or wrongly, complaints from the public that the whole concept of oversight seems not to be open for this country. Madam Speaker, there are various reasons why that is so, and we must address it. And I remember very well our departed leader, Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga. Was one of his main concerns in public before he departed us, that is Parliament performing its oversight role well? And according to him, there is a problem. So even as we mourn Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, we must reopen this debate, public debate, on what is the status of oversight in this country. Has it worked or not worked? Madam Speaker, when we talk about parliamentary oversight, we are talking about the oversight by the National Assembly, the oversight by the Senate, and the oversight by county assemblies. If you look at the National Assembly, Madam Speaker, where I served, the National Assembly, the committees, particularly the committee chairs, they are behaving like in those days, earlier days before the 2010 Constitution, they are behaving like assistant ministers. They act at the whims of the cabinet secretary. So what kind of oversight can you do if the chair of a parliamentary committee spends most of his time in the offices or government offices of cabinet secretaries? And he would even appear before the House to read responses, particularly to statements, by the cabinet secretary whom he is supposed to be oversighting. So I think it's important for us to relook at the whole concept of oversight. There is also the element of independence of legislature. For example, at the county assembly level, the county assemblies are not independent. Finance autonomy law that has given them some teeth, but the implementation is so slow, Madam Speaker. Something has to be done so that at least MCS start having teeth to bite in their respective counties. For the Senate, Madam Speaker, we are being let down by other supporting public institutions. Madam Speaker, for example, the EACC. How many reports, how many recommendations are we given out to EACC that have not been acted upon? The Director of Public Prosecution, Madam Speaker, how many recommendations have they not acted on, Madam Speaker? So I think all that provides fodder for the need for us to review the entire process of oversight in this country to ensure it works. Madam Speaker, coming to this bill, I would want the mover of this bill to also look at the roles of other people in our respective counties who perform the role of oversight. For example, Madam Speaker, if you go back to our counties, you see a lot of young men who are doing an excellent job in our respective counties, either as bloggers, bringing up issues on matters of accountability in our counties. Others are in civil society, bringing up issues. I think there is need to protect these individuals who are doing a good job. I have so many of them in my county, and they do a good job, and I support them to do that job. And I think this law should look at how can we protect or enforce these people so that they do their work in a more structured manner and they are protected. Because some of them have even lost lives, Madam Speaker. Like you saw the case of Meru, where a blogger was murdered. And many others, Madam Speaker. We have to find a system in which we can protect these good citizens who want to participate in ensuring that there is accountability in our counties. Madam Speaker, role of our partners, Madam Speaker. For example, the Office of the Auditor General. How can they help us to enhance this law? Because they play an important role. They provide us the primary data that we need to be able to do our oversight well, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, even as I talk about the roles of other partners, particularly OAG, I think there is a need for us to overhaul our financial accountability system in this country. Madam Speaker, the financial system in this country, it is based on a Westminster system. Westminster, which we borrowed from United Kingdom, which starts with the authorization of expenditure by Parliament through the budget-making process, and then it leads to production of financial statement at the end of the year by entities, and then auditing process as per the Public Audit Act, and then submission of audit report back to Parliament, and then Parliament through the committees of PAC and PIC to review those reports. Madam Speaker, this system has a lot of gaps. There are other better systems that this country should consider. For example, we have a judicial system. Other countries, for example, we happen to have visited Morocco, where they have what we call Court of Accounts, where entities appear in a judicial setup, they present their report, and a judgment is made there and there. If someone has stolen, a judgment is made there to put him in, or to fine him, or to basically take an action. Our system, Madam Speaker, when you do the audit review, you do a report, it is passed here, recommendations go to EACC, and no one bothers to act on them. The whole thing is full of gaps, which must be looked at so that we have a tighter financial accountability system that is going to protect our investment in this country. Madam Speaker, let me also talk about on the role of public participation. Public participation in this country is not public participation, Madam Speaker, particularly in the counties. In the counties, you find a scenario where same individuals are the ones who participate in public participation, and they earn 1,000 shillings. It's like they're in employment. So if we have public participation today, tomorrow the same fellows will appear there. If you appear in some of those county public participation forum, and you have an alternative view, Madam Speaker, you are carried away a proper comprehensive legislation on the process of public participation. Madam Speaker, coming to this bill, the bill talks about having facilities for public participation. I want to agree with Senator Kajwang that can we instead of saying public participation facility, can we have multifunctional town halls in our various, so that they can do other things? When there is no public participation, they can be used for other functions as well. So that this is a good bill, but as I said, a few things here require panel beating, which I think we will be looking at it and making improvement where it is necessary. Lastly, Madam Speaker, the issue of implementation. Oversight, it is important, but oversight produces recommendations. How effective is our implementation mechanism in our respective houses of parliament to ensure that the recommendations that we make are implementable? So many things are recommended by our committees, but they are never implemented, Madam Speaker. In this House, this matter has come up many times. Some are of the school of thought that we do not need an implementation committee. Others are saying that we need to have implementation mechanism within our committees. Madam Speaker, I still hold that we need a substantive committee of the Senate to be dealing with matters of implementation, so that we have a structured way of following up on matters of implementation of the recommendations that we give in our various committees, so that we can follow up and act on those issues. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I want to support with amendments.
Senator Wakwabubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute towards this bill. I want to begin by acclaiming the proponents of this bill, that is Senator Ledama and the co-sponsor, Senator Kisang, because we want to wrap it at the essence of having public participation. And I would love to peg it to the Constitution. Like for Chapter 1 of the Constitution, it talks about the sovereignty of the people and the supremacy of the Constitution. Senator Ososi has presented something on the constitutional, what the Constitution envisages about public participation. And I would like to put the quotations right. For example, we have Article 118 that talks about public access and participation in Parliament. Article 196 talks about public participation in county assemblies. And Article 201 talks about public participation in financial matters. I want to substantiate much about these constitutional frameworks that guide this, because we all know that the crux of public participation as a tool is actually a core principle for government operations and the entire legislative process. Public participation has been there, but in my own honest opinion, sometimes I could say that it has been haphazardly done, and therefore there is need for us maybe to have whatever the senators have presented to enable us to do a lot of oversight for the purpose of efficacy and performance. When we relate back to what Baba left us with, I think he had a very good public philosophy on devolution that was goal-oriented. So we also need to look at these senators to monitor the relevance, the effectiveness, the efficiency, or rather the efficacy of all that we have Counties have got CIDPs, they have got fiscal strategy papers, and they have got well-documented papers in regard to projects, in regard to budget estimates, and even the items. They have what we refer to as itemized budgets. But sometimes, like Senator Methu pointed out, that there is a lot of movement of funds from one voted to another. That is vehement, that is unconstitutional, and this tends to maybe curtail the progress of the projects that were intended for, and therefore also curtailing development for the people. So I want us to look at this, that public participation as a tool occasions for diverse audiences where they have to give input from different, maybe counties from different perspectives and from different sectors. Therefore, there is need for us to re-engineer this tool of public participation, or rather fundamentally change the design to suit and maybe to offer what it is intended for.
Order, Senator Ledama Yokamkunji is a bit loud. Please consult in low tones.
So I want to conclude by saying that I support this bill, and the conflicts will always be there, especially if you have something objective, they'll always be there. But let's look at the delivery point and the pinpoints with which we are operating. I submit.
Senator Omogeni.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I begin by first congratulating the two senators, Senator Ledama Olekina and Senator Kisang, for the thoughts they have put together to bring the County Oversight and Accountability Bill before this House, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I'm also privileged to be speaking when the distinguished Senator Professor Kamar is still in the House, because I listened carefully as she raised serious objections to this bill. Madam Speaker, I first want to inform the House that I've had also the privilege of reading through the memoranda of objects and reasons for this bill. And Madam Speaker, if you read in paragraph 3, the bill actually seeks to give effect to the constitutional provisions on oversight, on public participation, and on participatory democracy. And it cites Article 96, Article 174, and Article 21. Madam Speaker, for some of us who are lawyers, time and again, our courts of law have made many pronouncements on the importance of public participation. But by and large, it is us parliamentarians who have been a big letdown, Madam Speaker, to the public, because we have failed year after year to enact an enabling legislation that would give full effect to Article 10 of the Constitution that gives prominence to on public participation, on our governance issues, policy decision making, approval of important government appointees, etc., etc. So, Madam Speaker, we have been accorded an opportunity by these two distinguished senators to step in and fill the gaps, Madam Speaker. Because when you enact a legislation, you give a good framework that should guide our public entities and our public bodies on how to undertake an effective and meaningful public. Imagine how appreciated the citizens of this country will feel
if we start budgeting for constructions of social halls, where budgets will be taken and the citizens will make their input before county assemblies, or even our national parliament, Senate and National Assembly, passes a legislation. Madam Speaker, if you look at the decisions that have come from, our courts, Madam Speaker, public participation must be real, not illusionary. Saying real means that the people really must get an opportunity to make their input and for their voice to be heard. And then he says, if you don't take public participation, the fact that into consideration in decision making, Madam Speaker, I'll propose that we be radical, we be more radical, and enact that the citizens of this country should do an actual vote on some of these decisions. And if you go to other jurisdictions, if you go to Switzerland, Madam Speaker, the concept of public participation is mentioned in their constitution, the way it's mentioned in our Kenyan constitution. But the way they give effect to that provision on public participation is by ensuring that the citizens themselves conduct a vote, Madam Speaker, on that law. If you want to pass a legislation and you go to seek the views of the people, if you have 100 people in the hall, you do a vote. You know, if more than 50% support, then you will say that that particular region supports that law. That's the only way we can have meaningful public participation. We saw what happened, and I have no intention of casting aspersions to our colleagues from the National Assembly, but we also what happened during public participation on the proposed constitutional amendment bill, Madam Speaker. It is impossible to say whether the people who appeared before those public participation sessions indeed supported the bill. Because at times you go and there is heckling. Those who support the bill are given an opportunity to speak. Those who are opposing are not given an opportunity to speak. So it's not meaningful. The only way, Madam Speaker, we can make it meaningful, and it was not for nothing that that provision was put in the Constitution. We borrowed it from other jurisdictions. And those jurisdictions include what I've mentioned, Switzerland, what happens in Australia. Madam Speaker, in Australia, there is just a principle. The way our Constitution, in Article 10, as a principle, that there will be public participation. But how to make it effective and meaningful is a mandate that has been reserved for us senators. Madam Speaker, if you go to Australia, if you want to amend the Constitution in Australia, Madam Speaker, you undertake a referendum, Madam Speaker, and the people vote on that law before it is enacted. If you're able to get majority, then it becomes law. If you don't, it's not law. So the only way we can involve the people, I'll be proposing, Senator Olekina, is that Section 4, Section 4, so that we don't continue this business of alienating ourselves from the people. Madam Speaker, I've gone to my county the last 2 weekends, Madam Speaker, and there is hue and cry on the way Kenya Rural Roads Authority has budgeted construction of roads in our 47 counties. Because some counties have been excluded, including my own county of Nyamira. Not even our single tarmac is budgeted for by the National Assembly, Madam Speaker. Yet, the people of my county of Nyamira are also taxpayers, just like the people of the county of Uasin Gishu are, or the people of the county of Nandi, or the county of Kisumu, Madam Speaker. But if public participation, the views of my people would have been taken into account, Madam Speaker, and then their input would have been heard, Madam Speaker. Remember what the late Prime Minister told us about roadside pronouncements, Mr. Speaker. He said that is what this country was fighting when we were enacting this new constitution. We gave a lot of legislative power to Parliament. We gave immense powers to the National Assembly on budget-making process. But you find the same members of parliament will go to a public rally and they start lamenting to the president that, oh, Your Excellency, help us with a road here. Yet that role is reserved for the National Assembly. So I really urge my colleagues to support this bill so that we can start giving effect to the provisions that are in our Constitution. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I've seen what my good friend has proposed, especially in terms of empowering our senators to undertake effective public participation in Section 18. Now, Mr. Speaker, I'm just wondering, that section says that the senator may employ such officers. Not surely, Senator Ledama, look at the expansive county of Kakamega. Look at the expansive county of Meru. Look at your own county of Narok. How will 3 officers assist you in ensuring that you undertake effective oversight in a county? I will propose, Senator Ledama, that you don't be prescriptive. I'd rather that you delete the number 3 there and say that the senator may employ such officers, okay, as may be necessary for assisting them undertake their oversight role in counties. Because 3 officers may be useful for the senator of Lamu, but they will certainly not be helpful, Senator Ledama, for the expansive counties that I've mentioned. And then on that particular section, Section 18, subsection 5, I think we should not limit the role of public participation to be the mandate of the senator. What happens to regulations, proposed regulations from various ministries? I think let's not make it look like now we are shifting the obligation from the respective entities to us. Remember, the courts have said that the person who bears the responsibility of ensuring that there is effective public participation is the body that wants to benefit from the proposed policy or from the proposed legislation. So I'll propose that you consider amending that so that we leave that task to be with the respective bodies. Now, Madam Speaker, I want to support what the Senator for Kirinyaga, I think, said about budgeting making process and more so on aspects of the mandate that is reserved for our counties. Madam Speaker, if you read the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, agriculture is a devolved function of our counties. Counties in the west of, do we say west of Rift Valley or the western part of Kenya, beginning from Bomet all the way. I don't know about Nandi, but at least I know from Bomet all the way. There's been a hue and cry on the low bonuses that were paid. But Madam Speaker, if you listen to county, it's called COG, the County of Council of Governors, COG, Council of Governors. Not even one statement has been released by these governors offering an explanation why farmers have been paid low bonuses. Policy issues from our CS Agriculture, no statement has been issued at all. My own governor, the governor of Nyamira, nobody has spoken on this matter, low bonuses to our farmers. And yet, if you go to the budget, Madam Speaker, agriculture is not given adequate budget allocation, Madam Speaker. So this, if you give the farmers an opportunity to meaningfully participate in budget-making process, I'm sure they will put a very strong case, Madam Speaker, why there should be where there should be an enhanced budget in agriculture, Madam Speaker. Because we used to be told when we were growing up that agriculture is the backbone of our economy. Madam Speaker, if it's the backbone of our economy, how do you pay a farmer T bonus of 12 shillings when the cost he has used for picking the tea, the fertilizer, the tilling itself is more than the 12 shillings, meaning they are running at a loss, Madam Speaker. And then the government is mum, yet during the campaign, this matter was given a lot of prominence by His Excellency the President. He said he was going to fix agriculture. But now that agriculture is not working, now that there is a lot of pain for our farmers, I've not had any pronouncements from His Excellency the President, Madam Speaker. If we have effective public participation, Madam Speaker, the farmers themselves will have a good say on what policies, what steps should be taken in budget-making process, Madam Speaker, so that the farmer can also have a smile in their faces. The money they are getting cannot even enable them to pay SHA annually, the way it is being proposed by our government. And as I conclude, Madam Speaker, I'm very happy that finally counties that have never known social halls may finally have a benefit of having social halls, Madam Speaker. When we grew up, we used to hear about, is it Ofafa Jericho Hall in Nairobi. I'm looking forward to also seeing in Nyamira a social hall, Madam Speaker, where people can go and their facilities, the governor can budget for a cup of tea, juice, and we rename it after our own heroes. Maybe it should be George Anyona Hall in Nyamira, Madam Speaker. So the contents of this bill, I dare say, Madam Speaker, are very progressive. It may have a few problems here and there, but Senator Professor Kamar, if we sit down and discuss, Madam Speaker, we can find a way of taking, taking on board the concerns of honorable senators. We enrich it, but at least let us demonstrate to our courts that we have been reading the decisions that have come from courts on this issue of public participation. And then we also make our oversight well anchored in legislation. At times, Madam Speaker, asking for documents from our respective counties becomes a quarrel between the senator and the governor. It's like you're committing a crime when you specifically want to get documents on some matters that relate to expenditure of public money. It's our taxes. My taxes end up going to the county of Nyamira, county of Kisumu, and other counties, Madam Speaker. So if you are spending public resources, you should happily be able to account, Madam Speaker, on how you have spent those resources. So with those many remarks, Madam Speaker, I fully support this bill, and I hope when it's finally enacted, the person who will be the biggest beneficiary will not be we senators, but the citizens of the Republic of Kenya, our bosses, the people, Madam Speaker, who have elected us to have this forum of speaking, as I'm doing this afternoon. I support and congratulations Senator Ledama and Senator Kisang. Thank you.
Senator Beatrice Ogola.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity. And from the word onset, I want to resonate with the colleagues that have been on the floor, and particularly because we have to enhance oversight and accountability in the counties for which the Senate is there, because by enhancing oversight and accountability, Madam Speaker, we will actually be strengthening the main role of the Senate. Madam Speaker, this oversight, I support this bill. One, that this bill will help to improve efficiency and effectiveness in the counties. That through this bill, we'll be promoting financial accountability. Madam Speaker, as I begin to support this bill, I also want to celebrate and not mourn the life of my fallen party leader, Jacom Baba, the former Prime Minister, the great man that created more greatness even in his death. Madam Speaker, I say I want to celebrate him because this is a man who lived his life. Not many people reach 80 years old. As we mourn him, we celebrate some of the values he lived for, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in the later days of the life granted to Raila Amolo Odinga, our former Prime Minister, when you watch the later videos where he was speaking, he emphasized that we should always think as Kenyans before we think about ourselves. And I'm beginning to think, even as I was mourning, that we need now to celebrate this man rather than mourn him. Come to think of it, Madam Speaker, that contrary to our expectations, especially from communities we come from, Baba was very specific on the hours that he should take when he goes to rest. There is the talk of the 72 hours, that this is a man who wanted Kenyans to move on. That this is a man that wanted this republic to move on even as we bid bye to him. What more greatness can we observe in this man? And Madam Speaker, why I celebrate this man is that he preached that we should be united. He preached a unity of purpose. In his life, he preached to the people closer to him and by deeds on inclusivity, that this is a man who, given a chance, Baba thought about Kenya rather than think about the community from which he came from. Even when he had an opportunity by the governments which he supported to make appointments, we could only see a Baba that thought about all the communities in this republic. That reflected on his cabinet, if he were to have one, that he would actually have all communities in this republic be represented in his government. Madam Speaker, I celebrate a man who preached forgiveness, that he was able to work with both foes and allies. Madam Speaker, not many of us, after competitions, would even tolerate meeting their competitors. Come to think of it, Madam Speaker, a number of us cannot even accommodate people they imagine to be competing over very personal things. But this is a man who was able to take 2 steps back and say, Kenya is bigger than himself. He wanted to demonstrate that he had a cause in this country. Madam Speaker, I celebrate his tolerance and patience. I celebrate his standing out for the less privileged or standing out for the marginalized. No wonder in our party we talk about social justice. Madam Speaker, look at the constituency Baba insisted on representing in this republic. Baba is somebody who would be elected in any constituency, if not all in this country. But he yearly went to represent Kibra, Langata, the place where people think we have the downtrodden, because that was what Baba believed in. Madam Speaker, I celebrate this man, and I cry for the people who lost their lives during his funeral, because, Madam Speaker, no Kenyan needed to die, because Baba's death was equivalent to so many deaths, and that is why I'm not mourning him, I'm only celebrating him. Madam Speaker, I remember as I celebrate this man, the lifelong tears that dripped from this man all his adult life. Madam Speaker, what could be the symbol of these tears? That Baba lived his life crying for this republic. He was crying for justice. He was crying for all the downtrodden. But I'm happy, and I want to congratulate Kenyans for mourning Baba in a honorable way, that they came out in their thousands. Madam Speaker, I've never seen such crowds in my life. That they came out in their large numbers, but those were very peaceful crowds. So I celebrate him because this is a man who was honored in life, but more, Madam Speaker, honored even in death. We celebrate a patriot. I celebrate a nationalist. I celebrate a man who gave his life for the sake of Kenyans. Madam Speaker, I said he preached forgiveness by what he did. And I want to ask everybody in this republic that forgiveness is actually a strength and not a weakness. Weak people don't forgive. It is only the strong, Madam Speaker, that forgive. Madam Speaker, I know you want to guide me. As we celebrate this man, Madam Speaker, who gave his life to this republic, because, Madam Speaker, the family of Baba had long sacrificed him to this republic. But, Madam Speaker, let me come back to the bill. And I congratulate my leader, the minority whip, none other than the Senator of Narok, and the Senator Kipsang, for the County Oversight and Accountability Bill 2024. That as a Senate, we can only enhance county oversight. That we must strengthen oversight, but even as we do that, my leader, I do not think it is for lack of the physical facilities that public participation is not done well. And so, even as we focus on the infrastructure of getting physical halls, Madam Speaker, let us enhance the bill in more ways than just thinking of counties putting up social halls for public participation, because I can see even the abuse most of them will do. From here, everybody will be putting multi-billion halls. Let us focus on the actual oversight. Let us strengthen the Senate in oversighting counties. And Madam Speaker, this must also include members of the public. We call upon members of the public that other than the stipulated oversight authorities like the Senate, the public must also be watchful down where they are in doing oversight, even as we improve efficiency and effectiveness in the counties, Madam Speaker. Let us be more objective.
Honorable Senators, it is now 6:30 p.m., time to adjourn the Senate. Senator Ogola, you still have 9 minutes when we resume. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 29th October, 2025 at 9:30 a.m.